All right. Oh, Stinky Puddle Ranch, how you doing? Good evening. Good evening to you. Thank you for being here. I'm hoping you guys enjoy this live as much as you enjoyed the other one. The last live, we covered how to take care of your lawn in preparation for the summer. The summer is very much here. My man Chips and Guac Will is in the building. Hey, how you doing, bro? Thank you for being here. I'll reintroduce the panel. We got the lovely Miss PJ from GirLzLawn. We got my man on the beats, Polo from Polo's Field Lawn and Service. And then we got the sore loser, Cam from Team Elevated.
See, why I gotta have all that extra?
Shots fired already. Shots fired, people. There we go. Dranzer Bees, hey, how you doing? William, how you doing? So look, we got a lot going on tonight. We might even be giving away some free stuff. We'll see how we feel. But outside of that, we're here to prepare you for fall overseeding when it comes to cool season lawns. Now, I know that a lot of you may have warm season lawns, and that's okay. If you have any specific warm season lawn questions, we got moderators in the building that can help you. My man Chips and Guac Will, he is a warm season lawn. So if you have questions, drop them in there. I'm sure he will take care of you. And as we see them pop up, we will address them as well. But just a recap from the last live cast we did, We Workin team. Well, before we get started, can we get a toast? Toast everyone? Yeah. A toast? Yeah.
I'm with it.
Yeah. We working. Let's do it. We got our apple juice, adult apple juice. We working. Cheers.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Butterscotch taco. Yo, I like that name. That's dope. Butterscotch taco. I don't know if I want a butterscotch taco though, but that's a dope name. CR, hey, how you doing? So
what's going on, CR?
We're gonna recap real quick and then we're gonna roll right into it.
What's going on, CR?
So last live cast that we did, the last installment that we did of the We Workin team live cast, we discussed how to prepare yourself for summer lawns, and those topics were watering, mowing, and proper fertilization. Now, when it comes to the watering, I'm going to kick it over to our irrigation guru himself, Cam. When people are preparing for that watering for the summer, if you're still in the summer, you're still hanging in, you still looking nice and pretty like the We Workin team are. All of our lawns are looking amazing still right now. Cam, how should they be watering right now and maintaining that look?
So I feel like that little extra you just gave me right there on the irrigation guru was just a cover for what you said at the beginning.
Of course.
That's all that was. I mean, passive aggressive. But now we just want to make sure that we're getting down at least an inch of water per week, making sure that you're watering deep and frequent. Even if like you're super hot and dry, you may have to bump that up to 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches. But at that point, you've got to realize how economically feasible is it for you to continue to keep that up. So make sure you're doing deep and frequent watering, maybe twice a week, 3 times a week tops. You want it during this time where disease pressure is high. You've got high temperatures, high humidity. The best thing that you can do is actually keep the leaf blades as dry as possible. And by doing that, that is what's going to keep some of that disease pressure down. So from a watering standpoint, that's where we should be doing.
That's right, Marcus. No shallow watering, because shallow watering leads to shallow roots.
Shallow roots.
We don't want that. Hey, Mike, what's going on, brother? I appreciate you from the Mo Bro team. Okay, so the next topic would be mowing. Now, and then let me preference with that watering applies to all lawns. That's not just cool season specific. That is both warm season lawns and cool season lawns, no matter if you're in the deep south, transition zone like myself, Cam, and PJ, and Polo. Polo's in the transition too. And or if you're in a cool season temperate climate like, you know, north of Delaware and above. Mowing. Let's talk about mowing a little bit, PJ. What should people be doing as far as their cultural practices when it comes to mowing? Like, I know that you may be an oddball right now in your frequency of mowing because of your testing that you're doing, but what's some of the tips that you'd like to give to the audience?
Yeah, typically in the summer, you don't mow as much as you do in the spring and fall. So you want to mow as high as your mower would go. And most mowers, I believe, will go up to 4.25. Mine only goes to 4, so I mow it at 4. Although the back, which Turf mentioned, that I'm doing the experiment with higher bricks, that thing is growing like crazy. So I'm actually mowing the back at 3, and it's doing pretty well. So yeah, and you know, in the fall, in spring and fall, mow. The more you mow, the more it grows. So you want to mow, but in the summer, you want to just kind of cut back because it's not going to grow as much anyway in the summer. So.
Right. And we don't want to add extra stress on that lawn because it's already in a stressed environment. CR, I appreciate you. We're going to show you what we're doing with those donations, man. You said you can't wait for the merch. Well, surprise, surprise. We're going to show you what we've been working on with the lovely donations y'all gave us last episode, last installment. We told you that would be going towards merch and designing for the We Workin team. So we actually need your help on making some decisions. So we're going to show you what we got, but we're going to save that for later. Just hang around with us. Stick with us, please. Stick with us, please.
Definitely appreciate that, CR.
Yeah. Sure. Yes. Yes. Yeah. 10 plus inches of rain. Yeah. I'm in trouble. Yeah. Mike has been getting punished up there. And he's been getting more rain than you, Polo. And I think that's a good segue into, you know, you have adequate moisture, you're mowing properly. Then the next step is, how should I be fertilizing in the summer? Polo, take it away, please.
So first and foremost, if your lawn is stressed out, you definitely don't want to be fertilizing. You want to try to stay away from fertilizing if your lawn is stressed out, but your lawn is still going to need some type of nutrient. So you can fertilize, you just want to do it at lighter doses. That's most definitely if you're dealing with a cool season lawn. If you have a warm season lawn, you can go ahead because that warm season grass loves that heat. And a lot of people, you know, Chips and Guac can attest to that. A lot of people that have warm season lawns, you can go ahead and fertilize, but you still need to give your lawn some type of nutrients. You don't want to bomb it with nitrogen, like I said in my last video. But you don't want to give it 10 inches of rain. You don't want to do that. But you want to bomb it with some water. You want to give it some water, and just basically keep it going through this stressful period. So fertilization is still important, but you're not going to be fertilizing it like how you would do in the springtime and in the fall.
Right, right. We're looking for low applications of nitrogen, more so fixated on the potassium and phosphorus if your soil test deemed it. William Augustus, hey, that's amazing, man. You're lowing at 3/16 of an inch every other day at 90 degrees. I assume that you have a cool season lawn as well. And depending on your climate and the age of your lawn, that's absolutely possible. If your grass is trained to do that, you've been adequately keeping up with your moisture, you've been making sure that your soil game is right, that is possible. Now, when we make the statement, jack up your mowers, we're talking to the masses. We're trying to reach the masses for the average person who's just now getting started, just now getting the first few seasons under their belt. But for the majority, to keep the average person that's back at work, life is back to normal, some sort of normalcy right now, and they can't get on their lawn as often. That's who we're speaking about. But definitely, thank you for mentioning that you can go low in the cool season if your agronomy is sound. That's really all that leads into. Now, that's a quick recap of what we discussed last time. Now, if your lawn is in rough shape at the moment, you've taken a few L's this summer, you're looking at your lawn like, ooh, I hate life. I don't want to be a part of it anymore. I'm giving up. I'm about to hire True Green or some other type of lawn service because everything I did, don't do it. Just hang in there with us because this is where we get back in the gym. We're in the fight right now, but this is when we get back to training. And this is why this is the perfect time. Oh, yes, that's right, JP.
JP. Appreciate that, JP.
First round is on me, J Pink. I got it. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna bring something special. I promise you. Sip for J Pink. Thank you, J Pink.
I had to do that one right there for you,
right.
J Pink.
Yeah, there you go, J Pink. But so that's the gist of that, right? That's what we were aiming at. That's what we were discussing. So moving forward, right? Now is the time, if you've taken some L's, this is the time where you can bring your lawn all the way back to life and get it back on target to what you are looking for this time next year. So when it comes to cool season lawns in particular, I have to preface and remind you that the information that we're putting out tonight is geared more so towards cool season lawns. However, if you have warm season lawn questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Like I said, we have people in the building that are watching. William Augustus, man, I appreciate you.
Thank you, man. Thank you, William.
They're going back and forth. And he said, I got you beat.
It's like an auction. Yeah.
It's like an auction, right? So getting me distracted right now. But so everything that we do in the fall, in the spring, leads to a resilient lawn like you see on the screens today, minus Polo, because he's got this music behind him. But that's what we're building up to. We're building up to being able to sustain these harsh 2 to 3 months on these cool season lawns. And if you don't do the work starting this fall, you're going to be behind the curve. So thank you for being here. Once again, thank you for hanging in. And without further ado, we're going to get into today's segment, which is fall preparation for cool season lawns. And we're going to start with the sound prep. And I think I'm going to kick it over to PJ so we can just talk about the things that we want to focus on as far as the preparation to get ready. PJ?
Yeah, so, some people may wonder why, we talk about the fall so much, but the air temperatures are perfect in the fall for overseeding or seeding, renovations or whatever you want to do. Obviously, you can do it in the spring, but the fall is where you really get that big punch. So you have to decide, are you going to overseed or are you going to renovate? So what are the differences, right? So one of the most important things you want to do is get a soil test. That soil test needs to happen at least 30 days after your last fertilization. Otherwise, the numbers are going to be skewed and you're not going to get an accurate representation. So get that soil test so you know what you're working with, know what type of fertilizer you need going into it. So we usually overseed so that we can thicken our lawns. And then you renovate when you just want to kill everything off. either because you just want to start over and you want to reseed with something completely different, or you're having a big issue, weed problem, maybe Poa trivialis or something like that, and you just want to kill everything and start over. So you make that decision there. So it's very important for cool season grasses in the fall to do whatever types of repair fixes you want to do at that point. We start to overseed, or the soil temperatures are very important. There are a couple of ways that you can watch for that. You can go out to this site called greencast.com, I believe it is. And you want to seed when the soil temperatures are approaching 70 degrees, because the new new baby grass doesn't like those extreme temperatures. And the seeding takes 7 to 10 days to germinate, and it needs to root and grow. So I don't know if you guys want to throw anything in on that before I move on to the next aeration portion of this.
No, go ahead.
So I'll jump in. Yeah, and PJ, yeah, like you said, I think one of the things is deciding if you're gonna just overseed, if you're gonna renovate. I just want to chime in on that one a little bit, and that's a big decision that people have to make. And if you are planning to do a renovation, meaning you want to start from scratch, you want to burn the house down and start all the way over, and start with a clean slate, your time is almost now for you to start that multiple round of I won't specifically say, because whatever non-selective herbicide of choice that you would like to use, the time is now for you to do that, because it's going to take multiple rounds of you using that non-selective herbicide to make sure that you're getting a full kill on that. So if you don't want to start over with a clean slate, you can just jump in and just do an overseed. And just to thicken your lawn up. And that's another thing that you can use to bring in good cultivars, newer cultivars that just overall perform better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything Cam just said. Another thing to keep in mind that she kind of breezed over, but I want to reiterate, soil tests. Everything that you're going to do in the fall should be driven by some sort of data, that data being a soil test. So you'll hear us talk about later in the chat. We'll go over some different starter ferts. Well, starter ferts traditionally have quite a bit of phosphorus in them, right, to establish that root development. But if you already have adequate amounts of phosphorus, guess what? You can skip that. There's no need for you to apply more. And then in some states like Maryland, where Cam and I are, you're not even allowed to apply phosphorus unless you have a soil test that calls for it, due to water preservation of the bay. So make sure that you start with a soil test for sure. You got anything on that, Polo?
Nah, you hit it right on the head, and we'll definitely jump on that as far as for the phosphorus getting on a little bit later on. So I don't want to tie it up too much, but yeah, right. I agree with that.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so your next step in preparation is deciding whether you want to core aerate or not. Core aeration is the process of physically poking holes into the soil and pulling out cores. So basically what that does, it helps with like thatch issues and loosening the soil for better nutrient uptake. So it allows the soil to retain more water with less runoff. So there are pros and cons to that if you decide to do that. The cons could be that you disturb some weeds. And so you do have some alternatives there if you want to. The pros to it is obviously, you're loosening up that soil for the seed that you're about to put down. So that's another step in preparation that you have to do. Now, the other thing that I normally do in prepping for this is I dethatch or power rake. And there are a couple of pieces of equipment out there that you can use. You can actually use there's a dethatch rake, I believe, but that's a lot of work. It's a lot of manual work. So there's also the battery powered dethatchers. And I use the air quotes because it's not really a detach, it's more of a power rake. And what you're doing is getting up, all of that thatch that's covering the soil. And when you're overseeding or you're seeding, you need that seed to make that soil contact. So that is the other step in preparation for the whole overseeding process.
Absolutely. Seed to soil contact is a must when you're looking to go for a successful renovation. And I'm not sure if you guys caught it earlier, but I shared that growth calendar that kind of shows you the importance of why our season truly starts. It's almost like if you deal with government work at all, there's a physical year and then there's a fiscal year, right? The fiscal year is built around the budgeting for the next year and planning the exercises or programs that you need to execute. Well, for a cool season lawn, your year starts with the fiscal year, like our DoD services do, pretty much. So if you have that work with the government work, just go ahead and put that in your brain that's when your actual year starts as far as your season for a cool season lawn.
Yeah, and Turf, I agree with that, man. I think that's one of the things that we get asked a lot, and I get a lot of questions. I get a lot of people that come to me in April and May as soon as the weather turns warm, and they're like, "Oh, I want to get my lawn together," and I'm like, "No, you're late. Like we needed to be doing. You needed to have talked to me in August, September of last year." So this is why we're having this live stream so early, because we're trying to give you this information and prep you now for the time that's coming so that you can have that 2022 immaculate lawn that you're looking for.
Yeah.
So I had one more thing before I hand this off to Polo. I did want to throw in there about the core aeration, just like, my experiences personally, that I don't see myself ever doing another core aeration, because if you've been following my channel at all, you've seen the struggles that I've had with Poetry Realis. And I truly believe that core aeration kicked up those seeds, brought it back to life. And now, I'm hopefully past that issue now, but I will never core aerate again. So I just be careful with that. That's just my opinion and my experience.
Right. Yeah, and keep in mind, PJ doesn't have a compaction issue, so there's no need for her to have to do a core aeration. And she's opening up a Pandora's box when she does that. And before we go to Polo, I know Cam, you was about to say something. Hopefully, I'll just read this, and maybe you can answer this question and roll into what you were about to say, Cam. My man, my coworker, this is my coworker. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I hope you're doing well. I can't remember where you went, but I know you're gone from here. But I've been using the manual method with the lawn butler. It's a lot of work. Is it worth it, or is there a better way? And then I'll give it to you, Cam.
I'm guessing the lawn butler is like a rake.
I think that's the manual dethatcher. I got one of them.
Yeah.
It's some work.
Yeah, I
mean, it's a lot of work.
Any kind of raking, and I will say that year before last, I actually manually power raked my entire front lawn, because you can do it. The easier way is that Sunjoe dethatcher. I mean, I think you can get them now. The prices went up; they were a lot cheaper. But I think now you can pick them up for like $150. They are electric. I think they did come out with a battery powered one though recently, but I think that was more expensive. So for $150 and probably say $200, because you had to buy, if you don't have the correct rated extension cords, I'd say you just pick one of those up. And that's what I did in my front lawn, and I'll be doing it again. But the reason is for seed to soil contact. That's the only reason I'm doing it. It's not to remove any kind of thatch. It's not to remove any of that. It is to be able to thin out the lawn, which I now can pull all of that dead grass, anything that has died back, any weak grass that's in there. It'll pull all of that out And now it has now opened that canopy up that I can drop new seed in, fresh cultivars, and water, nutrients, and all of that can now grow up. And that's how you get that new seed established.
Okay, so real quick, the yard butler is a manual plugger, and I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to tell you no, right? Because look at my pinned comment up here, right? My pinned comment, like that yard butler, I know exactly what it is now. Look at the pinned comment. Chips and Guac will, and I'm glad he's so willing to be transparent here. He says with aeration, it was cost effective for him to just have a service do it versus a rental. Now, if you're a person like me that drives an Acura TSX, I stand behind that full and through. Like the amount of time that you got to go rent the equipment, bring it over to you versus just paying someone $100, $150, especially if you have a large yard and they come through, boom, boom, go 2-3 times, and now you can get to the rest of the work yourself. I think that you're better off either hiring that service out or renting an aerator to save your back, because that yard butler is not going to be as effective as a manual aerator, whether you do it yourself or you hire it out. So there's a video that I'm gonna work on with Aiden from xxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxxx DIY. And we're comparing some different things that you can tackle in the lawn. That should you hire a pro? Should you just pay someone to do this? Or is this something that you actually should tackle yourself? So that was a great circle around. And then of course, Mike wants to hear more about your regenerative tall turf type tall fescue, PJ, down the line somewhere here during the live. And then William Augustus asks, do you make sure that you collect and remove your plugs after aeration? And after that, we can pass it to Polo to keep this train rolling. And thanks for
So since I'm a fan of core aeration, I'll answer that one. No, I don't. And especially if you're dealing with a cool season lawn and you're cutting it at plus 3.5 inches, there's no reason for you to be out there trying to remove plugs. And then all of that does is, as it starts to break down, it just provides additional seed bed material for that new seed that you've put out. So unless you're working with a low cut, cool season lawn, when I say low cut, I'm talking sub 1 inch, sub ½ inch. There's really no need for you to get out there and try to collect cores.
I'm laughing at my buddy. He said that was a lot of PT. I bet it was. This joint was breaking you off. Just skip PT formation. Just do that from 6:30 to 7:30. Forget a formation. And it's going to take you about a whole week to get it done, depending on your yard size. So yeah, PJ, you want to wrap your topic up and pass off the Polo?
Yeah, so I mean that was it for me. Did you want me to talk about the RTF now, or we would talk about that a little bit later when we start talking about seed?
It's up to you. It's up to you. If you want to go ahead and hit on it now, that's fine. If you want to wait till later, hey, that's fine.
So I missed Mike's comment. What was the question about that?
So Mike said, let me find it again. Mike, thank you again for the donation. Truly appreciate it. We're going to show you where this money is going, and we're going to give back. I just made the decision. We're doing a giveaway, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
Executive decision, huh?
Teamwork. But we got it. Okay. Can PJ talk about her regeneration fescue at some point? And I think he was talking about your RTF.
Yeah, that was very interesting. When I did it, I had a little small test plot. It was very small. It was like 100 by 200 or something like that. And so when I first put it down, it was a couple things that I felt like was possibly the reason for the failure. And the reason I say, when it first started coming in, it looked really good. And my understanding is that that's the same thing that happens with Kentucky bluegrass, but I've never paid attention to it, honestly. But when it first started coming in, it was good. It was, everything was great. But a week or two in, it started to look like it was dead and brown and laying over. So I figured it was a failed experiment. my irrigation in the back wasn't really dialed in properly. It's kind of shooting over into the woods as opposed to hitting the grass. And back then, this was last year, I didn't have as much knowledge as I have now, so I hadn't really dialed it in. So I did dial it in the spring, and lo and behold, I went out there one day and I was like, what's this grass right here? Because it was looking real nice. So if you go and you look at the way that Kentucky bluegrass matures, the RTF kind of matures the same way. And it looks so good right now that I am overseeding my backyard with that. That is what I'm doing for the fall. I'm putting that in the backyard because it's really strong. It's really strong grass. And my kids and my dog play back there. So I think it's going to hold up really well back there.
Awesome. Awesome. It's a nice little testimony. I hope that
Yep.
got you what you was looking for, Mike.
Yeah, PJ is not the only one that's running it. So like I've got some too, if you need any additional information on it. So yeah, we're both enjoying that one.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, then we're going to move into the next segment of this installment, and we're going to talk about the materials you need, the materials that you need to go ahead and acquire sooner than later. And Polo's got some groundbreaking, shaking information for you, whether or not you've heard through the whisper vine, but he's got some steadfast, reliable information to put out for you guys. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Polo.
So on this segment here, we're just going to briefly kind of go over just some seed that you need to get, some fertilizers, and we're also going to talk about that it is true that there is about to be a seed shortage out there. So first and foremost, we'll just go ahead and touch bases on just getting some quality seed. Turf, do you have those clips that you can be able to put up?
Yep, let me go ahead and get you squared away. Okay. Boom, bomb. Let me.
So basically, what you're going to be looking for when you're purchasing a bag of seed, a lot of people will say that you're looking for a blue tag type of seed, which a blue tag seed, it will basically be a clean bag of seed having no weeds in it at all. So like, for example, this tag right here, you have some tall fescue, you have some ryegrass, and then you see the 0% for other crops, 0% for other weeds. You want to try to find something, whatever seed that you're using, you want to try to get it where it doesn't have any weeds in it at all. What you're wanting to put into your lawn is grass. You're not wanting to put weeds in there, right? So you want to try to see if you can be able to find a clean bag of seed that is not going to have a lot of other crop seeds in it, a lot of other weeds in it, because you don't know what those weeds may be. So whether you're doing a blue tag, a bag of seed, or you find a bag of seed that, like this one here, it didn't have a blue tag on it, but as you can see, other crop seeds, other weed seeds are 0, which means that everything that's in this bag is what is in this bag. There is no other seeds found in the bag. So then, and this is just an example for, one seed. And this one here is another one as well. Tall fescue, tall fescue, tall fescue. You see the percentages of the tall fescue that is in there. You see the other crop seeds, which is 0. The internet matter, which is 0.99, which every bag is going to have that in there. And your weed seeds are 0. So that's what you're looking for. You're looking for something that is not going to have any weeds in it at all. We all want to get the weeds out of our lawn, not put weeds back in the lawn. So that's what you're going to be looking for on a tag whenever you go look for a bag of seed. Panel, do any of you all have anything to add to that?
So I'll jump in there with one other thing to point out is your germination rate. So for me, that's another thing that I'm always looking at. When you look at it, you want the highest germination rate you can get. I mean, you don't want, so there is going to be a certain amount of seed that is not going to germinate in every bag. So at that standpoint, you wanted whatever that initial starting germination rate is, you want it to be as high as possible. And as you can see, these seeds that have been presented here on these tags, all of them are at least 85% or better. That's kind of like a good margin to look for. If you're looking at 85% or better, that's typically about what you should be looking for.
One thing I'd like to highlight is the origin of seed. When we're talking about our regions for these different seeds, we want to make sure that we are picking the best seed for our specific location and area, right? And one thing that you'll find is the origin of where the seed came from is kind of clipped off on this one right here. But another thing that you'll see is where that seed was tested and what states it was tested in. So that kind of lets you know, like, hey, this might be a good seed for me because I live in North Carolina, Maryland, Indiana, Illinois, Delaware, so on and so forth. So, and then another thing that we kind of didn't talk about, but noxious weed seeds, that changes per region. There was this book that I used to recommend, and I still do recommend. It's like Weeds of the northeastern something. I don't know. The book's not here. It's not right beside me. If you're really interested in that, I'll drop it in the comments of this live video when we're done. But noxious weed seeds, that shifts per region. So what does that mean? That means like seeds like or grass types that we consider noxious, like Poa trivialis, depending on your region, it may not be considered a noxious weed. So it may be considered in other crop seed or other weeds where, you know, there's a little bit of other weeds in here. And that's when you're looking at the price difference and you're trying to figure out why does the bag at the big box store for a 50-pound bag cost $30? And then when I go to my local agricultural store, this bag costs $90. The difference in that moment, I just want to stop sharing the screen. Oh, my camera's off. Hold up. So the difference in that, right? The difference in that price is you're going to spend that money if you go and you buy dirty seed, right? Dirty seed that's filled, it's got that 0.08% of other crop seed or that 0.08% of weeds in your seed. That might cost you $40 from going to buy big box store products down the line. So it's better to prepare yourself with the best quality in the forefront, because you may spending that money later on during the season trying to get rid of things that pop up in your lawn. And I think we beat that one all the way down, didn't we? Unless PJ got something to add to it.
I will say, Turf, I will say to everybody, I'm a seed snob. Like I'm planting grass, I ain't planting weeds. If it's got anything in it besides grass seeds, I don't want it.
Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Me having to get out there and spray it, and then now I got to go buy herbicides for it.
Right.
It's tough to do.
That's the main thing that you don't want to do is you want to get a clean bag of seed. You don't really want to plant all of these good quality grass seeds that you're buying, and then it has weed seeds in there where you're going to have to spray something on it to get it out. You know, you're trying to grow the grass. That's the main focus. What you're trying to do is you're trying to grow grass. You may have a weed or two or three or four, you know, that's okay. You may have that, but it's best to have a weed or two or three or four than to have several hundred. So, you know, just be mindful when you're looking at a bag of seed. Be mindful. This is what a lot of people don't do. A lot of people will go to the big box stores. They'll just pick up a bag of seed and throw it in the bag. You need to flip it over and look at the label.
Yep, that label.
Right.
Look at the label And everything that you buy has a label. It doesn't matter if it's a candy bar. They got to tell you what's in it. So flip it over, look at it. Then once you look at it, then you will be able to see, hey, the We Workin team was telling me, I need to look out for this. It's got this in there. Oh, this got too much. I don't know about that. And then you will change your mind where you purchased this seed at too. So
right. Backyard all day. He says other crop is Poa annua. It usually is. It could be anything, you know, depending on your region, it could be anything. But definitely is probably more common to probably going to be more common to be Poa annua. And then we have just William Augusta says, just FYI, Pebble Beach has Poa putting greens. I assume that you're referring to Triv maybe. But here's the thing with those putting greens, right? If you're cutting it low and I mean that color, so as long as it's uniform, it's the modest stand of it. It doesn't look like nearly as much as an eyesore, right? And you want to be able to see your putting green when you're teeing off from your box. So actually that's an advantage when it comes to golfing. And that's a perfect segue into mixes versus mono stands, which was your next question, along with opinions on coated seeds. And I'm going to kick that over to Polo since this is his section and he's the man when it comes to dealing with the biggest issue when you roll with mono stands. And one of the benefits of using coated seeds, because they usually are preemptively trying to take care of this issue, is lawn diseases. So Polo, I hand it back over to you to let you continue on down if you can knock out those two questions and then continue on with your segment, please.
Well, yes, most definitely. Okay. Everybody is going through heat right about now. And I'm just going to touch on this just really, really quick. Fungus is on a rampage right now. I was sharing with the group just a couple of days ago at nighttime, the humidity was like 95 with the nighttime temperatures that was like 77 or 78 at nighttime. So that right there just shows you that you could possibly get hit with a fungus. We're not going to get too much into a fungus, but you definitely want to have something that can be a backup just in case if you run into that issue. This product right here is called Strobe. It has 2 modes of action in it, which well, I think this one right here has let me see.
Has Oxy and the propiconazole.
Well, this one has both.
That has both in there. So, and that's what you want to be hitting it with right now, just to be able to protect your lawn, because it's in my area right now. We've been getting a lot of rain and it's humid. It stays humid every single hour of the day, and we're dealing with it bad here in Louisville. Y'all know I'm not gonna say the other name. We're dealing with it bad here in Louisville. So you definitely want to be able to have something on the side just in case, because you don't want to be sitting up there and then going through an issue where you want to deal with a fungus and a fungus that sit up there and take your lawn out.
Yeah, and I'd like to add to that. When you're dealing with a monostand turf, people usually want to deal with a monostand turf because they want precise and exact uniformity across their lawn. The problem is when you look at the in-depth trials, and we're just going to peek around this alley because we're working with the 101 basics, as we said, right? But in-depth trials is where you can read a lot about the grass type and what its resilience was to heat tolerance, whether it be heat tolerance and diseases and stuff like that. When you're running a monostand lawn, when that lawn is susceptible to a specific type of disease, you're more liable to lose your whole stand of turf in one full swing. Whereas the benefit of a mixed seed that has been selectively mixed together because it grows well together and it still has a very uniform look to it, not all of your grass will succumb to the same disease, usually, if it's a good, healthy blend of it. So keep that in mind when you're deciding whether or not you want to go with a full monostand versus a mix. I would never recommend a full mono stand unless you're retired and you have a lot of time on your hands. Or if you know that you're in a region to where the disease that it's susceptible to is not really prevalent in your area. That would be another scenario where I would promote a mono stand. Outside of that, I can't really think of one where I could promote that. Cam, it seemed like you were about to say something. What you got?
No, I'm not a fan of mono stands for the exact reason that you just said.
Right.
And then that's why I'm not a fan of it. And then also, if you're talking just tall turf type fescues, I'm a fan of mixing in some of that Kentucky bluegrass. And the reason being is that you now get the luxury of that, a little bit of that self-repairing ability of that Kentucky bluegrass that you don't get with a tall fescue. Because tall fescue, you get a divot in it or you lose a section of it at some point during the season, it's not going to regenerate or spread into that area. You got some Kentucky bluegrass mixed into your lawn, you'll get you can push a little bit of spreading into those areas and get that self-repairing ability with it. So again, that's why I'm a fan of mixes, and also if you want to do blends of different cultivars of maybe different tall fescues, because they all don't perform the same. So I'm a fan of that.
Yeah, and there was something else mentioned, and these are just some examples of seed that we would say you probably want to avoid. And quite honestly, you're most likely going to find these in your big box stores. So what we're really going to ask you guys to do is get in touch with your local agricultural stores. If you have a store that sells feed for like not Tractor Supply, right? We're not talking about there, but I have a store called the Mill of Bel Air. I think Cam has a Site One near him. Polo, what's the name of the store that you go to?
I have a couple of them. Tin Barge, Lewis Seed Company. It's a couple of them here.
Right. So start by Googling. Go hit up Google. Google's your friend here, and say agricultural store or seed stores.
Turf supply.
Turf supply stores. You want to find the place to where the businesses, your local businesses are going. And if you see a local business driving by, someone who owns a lawn care company, ask them. They'll most likely tell you where they go, because you're not going to get the same price they get anyway. So it doesn't mean anything for them. And if you mess it up, they're going to be right there to pick you up and take your lawn over for you. So right here, you can see the other crop seeds and the weed seeds that Polo was talking about earlier. And I don't want to step on them too much, so I'll give it back to you, Polo. Are you done with the seed? Do you want to move on, or do you want to
let's go ahead and move on for the sake of time. Now, the next part that we're going to jump into is going to be talking about a shortage of seed.
Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'll queue up the FERT for you, but I'll wait.
Okay. And I'm just going to just kind of like glance over this really quick. This is just some information that I got from one of my suppliers. I'm not going to mention their name, but basically we're about to go through a shortage, and the price of the seed, some of the seed is about to go up. So let me just give you just some information that from a document that they gave me. And it's basically talking about the carryover from seed. So, for example, there's little to zero carryover from the seed from last fall. Typically, the market has some carryover that allows for price, cost pressure to stabilize from seed growers. Not this year, not that much carryover. Another thing that's happening is the big box stores has a huge demand on the seed. They're taking a huge position on seed, even buying seed producers in Oregon to stake their claim of approximately over 10 million pounds produced of seed, which basically 100% of that is allocated for the big box stores. They can drive extremely high profits through the big box stores, therefore taking strong Oregon positions, leaving much less for the professional market. So you have a lot of these people, you know, with this big money. Y'all know we just went through COVID. They're buying up a lot of these seeds, and there's some of these professional seeds. Yes, some of it is not going to be there, like it's not going to be readily available like how it normally always is. And if there is some, the price is going to go up. So it is highly recommended if you are thinking about doing a renovation, if you're thinking about doing some overseeding, if you want to go ahead and get you some quality seed now, just in case. If you already have it in mind that you're going to be doing these things, it's best to go ahead and get ahead of it where you can get the seed for, let's just say, 120, 130, $140 a bag versus it being double, because there isn't that much left. Before I go on any further, panel, do you all have anything to add on that?
Nope.
I got my seed.
Yeah, I got mine too. I'm ready.
I hope y'all getting y'all's, because I got mine.
Yep.
Yeah, and I
But
got
not like Polo is true on that, and his supply is right. That's where we're at. Like I've heard it from multiple avenues that there will be a shortage of seed, and especially if you're looking for ryegrass seed. Ryegrass seed in particular is definitely going to be short this year. We gave you your warning. That's one thing not to put off on. It ain't gonna go bad in the next 60 days before it's time for you to put it down. So go ahead and get it.
right. I agree. Yeah, everything he said. I just wanted to highlight Butterscotch. You retracted your message, but I think it was a good question. Maybe you got your answer already. Maybe you hit up Google's on it. But he said, is propiconazole safe for warm season lawns? And I will kick that back over to Polo so you can continue the segment.
I think he asked about strobe.
Oh, no, yeah, he did say strobe. My bad.
Yeah.
Strobe.
Now, strobe, I know that, and you all can chime in on this too. I know that you're good with strobe on cool season lawns. I know that for a fact. I don't really have too much experience on the warm season. Turb, you was about to say.
Yeah, Will is in the building. Chips and Guac,
Okay.
please chime in. But I'm like 90% positive that I think Azazi Strobin is good for warm season lawns as well. You might have to be a little more careful with it, but Will, can you please chime in, or any warm season lawn enthusiast or pro that's here in the building? If you can answer that question definitively for us, please, we would much appreciate it. And then we'll keep on trucking along.
I agree with you on that one, Turf. I think it is, but also label is low.
Label is law, baby.
Label is low. Check the label on it. You'll be good to go.
Yeah. So where you want to go now, Polo? You
So
want
we
to roll
can
into
go
the
ahead and jump into the starter fertilizer.
Okay.
And basically what PJ was chiming in on is when you put first and foremost, you're going to need to start out with a soil test, because you need to know exactly what is deficient in your lawn before you just start hammering your lawn with a whole bunch of things. So, for example, whenever you are putting down some new seed, you want to start with the fertilizer that is a starter fertilizer. You see this fertilizer here is a 6-12-6, 6% nitrogen, 12% phosphorus, 6% potassium. You want to get a fertilizer that is going to have a lot of phosphorus in it. The phosphorus in this fertilizer is a 12. Now, that phosphorus is basically going to be for root development, which is basically going to help your seed to be able to grow. Now, the importance of a soil test is because if you pull a soil test and you already have a lot of phosphorus in your lawn, you're not going to need to apply any more phosphorus. Because if you apply too much phosphorus, then basically that's going to tie up other nutrients. The only way that you're going to be able to get that phosphorus out of your lawn is by cutting your grass and bagging all of your clippings. and you're going to have to do that for a while. Then you have to get another soil test, but that's something different. But basically, whenever you are applying a new seed, generally you're going to use a starter fertilizer, and your middle number is the number that you're looking for that's going to be higher than all of the rest of your numbers in the analysis. Do any of you all have anything to add with that?
No, I think it's worth noting this particular product right here, SoluCal, and why you would even look for like this product right here. I've never used it. I don't think you have either, Polo.
No.
But when we were already talking about the soil test, I think it's worth you hitting on why you would even want to look for a product like this. Can you go over that a little bit, please?
Well, because of the calcium that is in it. So of course, if you pull in the soil test, depending on what your soil test is, this calcium is going to sit up there and help you out tremendously. Now, I haven't, like you said, I have not used this because this particular starter fertilizer right here has a lot of things in it. You know, you're talking about a soil surfactant, you're talking about calcium. This thing right here basically is, it has a whole bunch of material in this, and this is more of a professional grade type of starter fertilizer. Now, a lot of people won't get starter fertilizers like this. They'll just kind of like stick with something that's basic. And if you do stick with something that's basic, that's fine. Like saying, for example, this one right here, you have nitrogen, you have which is 13%, you have phosphorus, which is 25%, and you have potassium, which is 10%. This also comes with 1% of iron in it, which will give you a little green up. But the main thing that you're really kind of focusing on is the middle number in this. Regardless of all the other things, you're focusing on the middle number because that's what you want for root development.
If you need it.
And then you have anything to add to that?
Right.
If you need it and your soil test says you need it. My other thing to say is shout out to the KOTG livecast, like all of them in here. I think just about the whole squad is in here. Appreciate y'all for joining. Thanks for tuning in. And then on top of that, making sure that when you're picking out your starter fert, it's not going to be the last time that you actually apply a fertilizer. Most of the time, that starter fert is going to get you going for probably 3-ish weeks, depending on how much you go down with. But then you're going to be timed because the fall, you really want to be hitting that fertilization, which I'm going to get into later on once that seed is up and going. So don't think that this is going to be the last time that you're going to be applying a fertilizer for the entire fall season.
Yeah, and
Right.
I think like you said, you know, we're making decisions based off data points, right? And that data point being your soil test. So if you don't have a soil test done, what you're doing is you're shooting in the dark. And we don't want to shoot in the dark. We don't want to waste money. This stuff is as expensive as it, well, it's a bit pricey sometimes, or you're spending your good money, your good hard-earned money. We don't want to waste that good hard money. So everything that you do needs to make sense. We have a couple other fertilizers here. Earthworks is a reputable company. This right here, we just wanted to highlight, hey, check this out. This is a greens grade fertilizer. Greens grade fertilizer means that you have smaller prills. I believe these prills are homogeneous, meaning everything that you need in one, everything in that bag. Each prill will have the analysis of a 10, 2, and a 5. 10% nitrogen, 2% phosphorus, 5% potassium. That's what you're looking at. And then we have another one right here. It's a standard grade. The micron size of those prills are a little bit larger. That's all that means. You're going to want a greens grade, especially if you are mowing low, 3/16 of an inch, like our buddy Will, I think, who said that earlier. And if you're mowing high like us, tall and proud, you can go with something standard grade real easy. But your decision should be based around a soil test. That's where it all starts. That's where it all starts. And I think other than that, I mean, Polo, can we talk about some of the equipment that we would need and utilize during our overseeding process?
So one of the main things that you're going to need is definitely a spreader, regardless of what type of spreader that you use. A lot of people will have access to the spreaders at the big box stores as far as like Scott's. It will be best for you to use a broadcast spreader, a spreader that's going to shoot your seed out. That'll be best to be able to distribute the seed more accurately than using a drop spreader. Drop spreader, you normally kind of use those towards your edges when you want to get your edge and everything. You can also use a broadcast spreader that has an edge guard on it as well. Cam and I have one. We have more of a professional grade spreader, which is a spiker, which is a very good spreader, especially if you're trying to save time. It's a very good spreader. But just to keep it
Yes.
kind of basic, a lot of people will just go with your basic spreaders. It doesn't matter which ones you get in any of these stores, just as long as you're just broadcast spreading it out to be able to put your seed out more evenly and to put it out exactly how many pounds you need to put out depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think this is the beauty of having a multi-panel like we do. I'm gonna go ahead and say I kind of disagree with my man Polo a little bit with the broadcast spreader over the drop spreader. I think if you want a more accurate application of your seed and you got time to burn, you probably want to go with a drop spreader. It's gonna take forever, but if you got one of them spiker spreaders, Polo ain't
Hey,
got time for that.
I ain't got time. I ain't got time for the me and Polo ain't got time for that. Hey, yo, we in and out. Hey, bro, we had a 10 pass maximum. If we gotta walk more than 10 passes, nah, we out of there. 10
Yeah,
pass maximum.
if you want to come in there with precision and accuracy, drop spreader is the way to go. It's funny because I was having this conversation with my garden men in the garden homeboy, Broke Farmer 76. He's in the building. And we were talking about, I was explaining him the difference between a drop spreader and a broadcast spreader. And that drop spreader is going to be more accurate and precise than a broadcast all day, just because it's taking forever and it's dropping. It's literally just dropping. It's not letting the wind take it anywhere else. It's dropping it in that specific location. Broadcast, it'll get you done way quicker though. Oli Poly, thank you for being here. He confirmed that Earthworks is homogeneous prills. And he also says, hey, big debate, starter fert comes. Is big debate starter fertilizer when seeding or fertilizing after germination? And I think it's important more so what type of fertilizer you're using, whether it be a slow release or fast release. So if you're throwing down a granular fertilizer that is a all fast release, but you're seeding with like Kentucky bluegrass that's going to take 21 days to germinate. Well, by the time that Kentucky bluegrass germinates, what you need and what you want to be in the soil might not all be there anymore. So you may be better off going for a fertilizer application after it's already germinated, get on and get off. Now, if you have adequate phosphorus and nitrogen already in your soil, you're good to go. But we're going to be giving away some products later on tonight that can help you out there, a few different ones actually. But that's my take on it. Cam, Polo, PJ, you want to weigh in on that?
You can go with that, PJ, if you got anything.
No, I don't really have anything on it, guys. Turf tends to cover most of it. So
So for me, I think Oli is right. It is a big debate of when. And you can actually, like, if you've got a mix, and I agree with Turf that it depends on like what type of release your fertilizer is. The way I like to see it is you can actually, if it was phosphorus that you're really pushing for, you could kind of go down a little early before you actually drop your seed. That way you're getting that fert and that phosphorus already broken down and into the soil. That way, when you get germination at that 14 day mark, now you've already got that in the soil, that is now readily available to go ahead and be utilized by that new seedling. For me, I'm back on the lawn fertilizing probably within 3 weeks after I dropped that seed. That is like that's how I operate. And I did it last year and I got amazing grow in. And then I'm going to be doing it again this year. So in the fall, and I'm going to talk about this later on, my fertilization program for the fall, I'm hitting it hard.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you want to do. And you want to hit it hard, my brother, with a spiker spreader, regardless of what turf is saying. On, yeah, off.
I don't have a spiker.
And I'm not trying to sit up there and promote spiker. Look. They make a great spreader. They make that. now, Oli Poly, his yard is, he's not using a spiker spreader. Matter of fact, I forget what is Oli Poly using. He's using
he keeps his permagreen around, but he's got a spiker though. He's got a spiker though.
He's using a permagreen. But as far as like for me, when I pull up to a property, I'm on it, I'm off it. I don't have that time.
Time is money.
I don't have that time. I can't, be in, oh man, did I overlap? And it needed to be, and then I'm done. I know that thing is going to spread accurately. I know that, but yes, on and off.
Comes to equipment, right? You've crushed the spreader portion. That's, the materials you need. Hey, check it out, guys. You need a spreader. But in Trini, I see you. I'm gonna get your question here in a minute. But what other materials should people gather right now, Polo, and have on standby? Go ahead and get their feet wet with. Go ahead and get comfortable with right now when we're waiting for this season coming up, if they're not already prepared.
So, well, let me ask you this: what are you referring to as far as
you talked about the Dethatcher already, right? So we talked about the Dethatcher. PJ, she's a big fan of the Sunjoe Dethatcher. She uses that. She expressed that she feels like it's doing more of a power rake than dethatching, and that's fine depending on how you
well, it has the Scarefire. I think that's how it
right,
the Scarefire attachment, which honestly that thing scares me. I don't use it ever, really. So
I actually use mine. I actually use the Scarefire for basically creating a seed bed for my seed on a bare ground seeding application. And
a lot of people have said they use it for that reason, but that thing, I don't know, man, I put it on and it scares me, so I'll just stay away from it. And then, just to mention, I think Turf mentioned that or maybe Cam, that there's a battery operated one now. And as far as I know, the reviews on that are horrible. The battery life it's not worth it. So like Cam was saying, just get the proper power cord and you're good to go with the one that plugs in.
Right. I have experience with the Greenworks battery operated Dethatcher that does its job, but for the $300 price, I have a video and I lost a friend in the company doing that review, but I kept it transparent. And the fact is, for that price point and the runtime that you get with one battery, and then you got to pay another $300 to upgrade to the better battery, you get like 15 to 20 minute runtime on that thing, which means it's going to cover 1,500 yards at 1,500 square feet at best. So get one off of Facebook Marketplace for the low, or go ahead and buy you one brand new, plug it up, deal with the cord. You only use it a couple times of the year max anyway. That's the way to go.
And do it now, because I ran into this issue last year. So the first time I got the Sunjoe, I actually sold it on Facebook Marketplace because I was like, I'm not dealing with this thing. It's too much work, because I didn't realize that I could just take my mower over the debris. I raked all of that stuff up, and I was like, man, this is too much work. Man. So I sold it. But then the next year, after I realized what I could do, I went to buy it again. And at a certain time of the season, the price goes up, and it's hard to get.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
And what about so we already discussed the aerator earlier. PJ, she's a hard stand proponent of never aerating again. So you're either rent it or let a pro come and do it. I opt for the pro to come to do it. If you have anything over 5,000 square feet, just pay somebody to come and do that thing, man. Save yourself, save your back, save your energy for the rest of the work you got to do. Hire that.
Or go in with some of your neighbors,
right?
And y'all do a group rental, and like y'all all do your lawns together. And if you're gonna do that, rent the ride-on aerator, and you can knock it out that much faster for not
less
much
work.
more than the thing. Go to Sunjoe. I mean, and that's what I like. I've already got my ride-on aerator rented or reservation already booked for my overseedings and my aeration.
That's the way to do it, people. Be prepared. And the last thing I want to discuss in the materials section would be, water hoses, sprinklers, and timers. Polo?
So most definitely, if you're going to spend your money on good quality seed, if you're going to spend your money on a good quality fertilizer, a good quality spreader, whether you get a Sunjoe or whether you rent a Dethatcher. I did that one year, which I had a video on that, I think, on my Instagram. And this guy's grass was caked up. I showed how much they got pulled out. But you definitely want to water your seed. You don't have to water it to the point where you're draining it, where you're giving it too much water. You want to keep the seed wet. Cam had mentioned this in his watering video, that it'll be a benefit for you if you work a 9 to 5 to be able to get a timer and put it on there. That way you can be able to have it running from 8 o'clock to 8:30, or however long you're going to water your seed, then it will cut off, versus you being at work and you're not being able to water your grass at all. But you definitely need to give your grass seed some water. It's definitely going to need some water in order for it to grow, point blank period. And I'm pretty sure everyone knows that. But definitely, regardless, I don't have underground irrigation. I hook mine to my spigot, have my water hoses going through my bushes and everything, and I have my sprinkler out there and have it watering my seed. I did have it watering my seed, but that's how I did mine. I would give it water every day, and that's what you want to do. Even once it starts germinating, you still want to keep that up as far as watering it.
I'm a big proponent of timers, as y'all saw in my video. It just saves you so much effort and so much guesswork of, is it getting enough water? Am I watering? Oh, I forgot, or I had to go do this. It takes that factor out of it, and that stress of, oh, I got to be back at the house to water, or I got to go do this. I got to go out and water. And if you're doing a bare ground renovation and seeding, it's going to take a decent amount of water to get that seed to germinate, based on when you start and how much rain you're actually getting. And a lot of times that late August time frame, early September, it's pretty dry. Like that's a dry period. Normally in a whole lot of rain until later on in September. So that's one of the things to look at. And I think while we're talking about water, and I'm gonna slip in and answer Trini's question.
Go ahead.
As far as easy straw or peat moss, I'm not well, you're on a slope. So on a slope, that can be a challenge. Either one of them can help, and either one of them can work. I may actually go with the seed blanket. If I really had like a really steep slope that I was working with, I would try the seed blanket. I think either one of them could help. I think the easy straw would be better than the peat moss, because it has some interweaving already there that would help hold it together. Whereas that peat moss, if it was really a heavy rain that came, that peat moss is going to wash right away. I think that Easy Straw has some interweaving that would help hold it in place and would help protect the seed a little bit more if there was a heavy rain, which on a slope, that's what you're really worried about, is heavy rains and things moving that seed around.
Another option that you could look into, Trini, is a tackifier. So I bought a tackifier. It's fluffy. It reminds me of like insulation material. It breaks up. You spread it over your lawn, and when it gets wet, it kind of glues down to the surface. Now, there's a pro and con with that, just like using peat moss or straw, which I'll discuss later once we take this quick intermission. But when you use that stuff, you need to make sure it maintains its moisture, because once it dries out, it can do more good than bad. And
or bad than good.
Right. Oh yeah, more bad than good. More bad than good. Thank you for catching that, BJ.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where I'm at with it. And as far as anyone pre-soak their seed before throwing it down, I've never seen that to be necessary. It's a mess. I don't want to deal with it. I just make sure I keep up on my watering, kind of like Oli Poly is saying, three times a day, 15 minutes when you're waiting for that germination is a good.
Nope.
Nope.
I don't even give a time.
You don't even give it time.
Nope. It's however many times you need to water for whatever period of time to keep the seed moist continuously.
Boom. There you go.
It ain't because it's all gonna vary. And that's where people get in trouble. It depends on how much water you're getting. It depends on how much rain. That's why I don't give times. I don't give a number of times. It's however often you need to, however long you need to.
Well, you know what? I mean, I know, Cam, you don't particularly care for the peat moss, but that's one of the reasons I like to use it as a beginner, a new person doing this. As soon as you see, as I would see that it dry out, turn the water on. Turn the water on. So that's why I do like peat moss for like the bare areas and things like that.
Right. Absolutely. And if you're not an early bird, you're not automatically waking up at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, go ahead and break down and buy a timer.
Yeah.
Unless you like Cam and you a night owl and you awake till
3 o'clock in the morning.
buy you a timer. Go ahead and break down and buy you a timer, man. Buy you a timer.
Get you an Orbit. Go ahead and get you an Orbit.
Orbit.
I normally when I was doing my overseeding, I set mine for every 6 hours. So I had it running for, a good 10-15 minutes for every 6 hours, just keeping my seed wet until I start to really see some really good germination out of it. But get you a timer. It'll save you a lot of time.
Yeah.
No, the key word, Will, the key word in that was continuously moist. That was
keep it moist. Yeah, in-ground irrigation for the winter. If you got it, you winning. Polo, did you have anything to add before we take a quick little interlude and give some stuff away? Let's give some stuff away.
Yeah, let's go. No, I'm good. Let's go ahead and move on.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's fun.
Let's go ahead and give some stuff away to the people.
Well, while we give some stuff away to the people, hey, look, if you want to get in on this giveaway, I'm gonna go ahead and let you know what we're giving away. We're gonna do 5 wins. You have the chance to win 5 times in this. Well, once you win once, that's it. You're not gonna win again, but you got 5 opportunities to win. We have a package from Simple Lawn Solutions. We got a soil hume, soil loosener, and extreme growth 618-0, which is really good for what we're walking into. The soil loosener is perfect for if you're dealing with water perking on your ground, you're super compacted. That's going to help that water perk and get to where you want it to be. The soil hume is a good soil additive, soil amendment. It's juiced with some seaweed, fulvic, and humic. And then we have the 618-0 extreme growth. You'll get 1 bottle of each, 1 quart of each of those. We have 2 sets of that. right? And then we have some product from Ecologel off of their BioPro lineup, which is going to be 1 quart of CytoGrow, which Cam, he can give you some information on that. He's used that this season. We're going to have a quart of Hydratane along with that package, and then some Bloomplex, which is at 816.5, which is also a really good fertilizer for overseeding and renovations. And then we're going to give away a bag of seed. Depending on your lawn size, you'll get a bag of seed, whether it be a 25-pound or a 50-pound bag of seed of Cool Blue or Turf Type Tall Fescue from Pete over at GCI Turf. So those are all the winnings for tonight. Keep in mind, especially for the Cool Blue or Turf Type Tall Fescue, keep in mind, if you're not in a zone to where you can grow that type of grass, please pass that on to someone else. If you end up winning it, please pass it on to someone else. And I know that you're going to try to, you're thinking like, well, how do we win? How do we win? We need you to put a hashtag We Workin in the chat right now. Go ahead and drop that so I can go ahead and start grabbing your names and entering you into our random picker for our winner this evening. And in the meantime, in between time, maybe Polo wants to give us some music to listen to, or y'all can drop some comments in the chat for the panel so they can answer some questions for you guys. Either way you want to do it.
I think we got a couple questions that just came in that we can address.
Perfect. So y'all address questions while I'll get the picker going. If you want to participate in the giveaway, like I said, go ahead and put hashtag We Workin, no G, just we WEWORKIN. That's it. Now you can put ING. I know it's going to automatically change it anyway, but put those hashtags down there. Let me get everybody into here, and once I get done, we'll get back to the show.
All right. So, Will, I'm just laughing at your comment from Chips and Guac. Hey, man, said I ain't passing on nothing. But Lynette, I did see your question came in. So you're in 6A, so you're a little bit farther north than where we are. Not too far from us. I'm not sure exactly your location, but you should be cool season. So you should be right around the same time that we are. So if you're doing a full renovation, the time is now, because you're going to get ready to start doing multiple applications or multiple rounds of your non-selective herbicide to be able to kill off your entire lawn if you're doing a full renovation and starting over from scratch. If you're just doing a overseeding, and I think you wanted to do dethatching also, that whole first step would be starting to bring your lawn down. I'm not sure what your height of cut is right now, but I normally get my lawn down to about 2.5 to 3 inches before I get ready to start that entire process. So I work my lawn down slowly so I don't lose too much color. That's just one of the things I don't want to take a color hit like that and just chop it all the way down. So I want to keep some color. So come August, like the first week of August, every week that I cut, I'll start to take my lawn down another notch every week as I start to cut. And then by the time I get to the end of August, I'm now down to about that 3 inch, 2.5, 3 inch mark. And then I'm right on time for, at the end of August, now I'm going to go ahead and power rake or dethatch, just removing that dead material out of the lawn, opening up the lawn. And then from there, you go into your aeration, and throwing down your seed. So depending on which one you're doing, if you're doing a overseeding or if you're doing a full renovation, the time is now. Aerating and overseeding, start bringing your lawn down like the 1st of August. Get ready to start throwing your seed down end of August. Labor Day is like a big mark for a lot of people. You're a little farther north, so you might want to be closer to end of August, third week of August, of being able to throw your seed down because your temperatures are going to drop faster than us. So you might want to get out there a little earlier.
Yep, and that's just general information too, because like what Cam was saying, it depends on where you are. So like where I am, like what he was saying, we normally start around that September range, the beginning of September. Of course, the further north that you are, you want to start a little bit earlier. But the process that he was saying to do, that's exactly what you want to do. And it depends on if you're going to be using a non-selective herbicide to get rid of your whole lawn. Are you going to bring it on down and then just kind of like overseed? And if you don't have a lot of weeds in your lawn, then you just need to overseed. Just do an overseeding.
I kind of, yeah, you're right. You're right about that, Polo. But I kind of have a little bit of a different situation with mine. Now, what I did last year, I seeded and I did a pre-emergent. But, you know, obviously when I seeded, I did tenacity. But then I waited about 30 days, like after germinated, waited like 30 days. And then I did a regular pre-emergent. It worked out well for me, man. And I plan on doing the same thing this year. But that's just a chance that you take. The weather cooperated with me last year and I was able to do that. So it's a big decision between the two.
It is. And I think there's a number of things that you need to plan for.
Yep.
And you need to put a plan together, which is one of the reasons why this panel and this team is bringing forth this information so early. The time is now to start putting that plan together. You need to be gathering up those materials. And then when you have more questions, you can come back to us when we do our next live stream, because you've done some research and you've started planning, and we can provide you that information or some resources before it's too late.
Yeah, so I got all the entries in. I'm just a little perplexed right here. Like, we got 48 people watching and I only have 19 entries. So I'm not sure if y'all missed it or not, but if you want to be a part of the giveaway, I need you to drop a hashtag We Workin. I'll give you another minute or two to get that in there, and then we're gonna let it ride. I mean, 19 people, your odds are very, very good. I don't know how to do that quick math on the fly, but you got some pretty good odds with only 19 entries and 46 viewers at the moment. So,
and this is some good stuff. So you might want to enter.
And you get 5 chances to win.
5 chances to win.
I tell you what, Brenda most definitely wants to win. We working.
Brenda's in there. We got Oli Poly. Okay, we're gonna get Oli Poly in there. There you go, Oli Poly. Get you something free, man. Ain't no shame in getting something free. I'll never pass up on some free product, man.
Hey,
Super Saiyan, like, you're not getting in here, Super Saiyan. William, I got you already.
We'll be like Will said. Will was like, man, I ain't passing up on nothing. Let me win that seed. I'm throwing some cool blue down in this Bermuda.
Look at Broke like, let's play, moving on. Because look, if I don't know if y'all know anything about Broke, but Broke wins in every single game.
Everything.
Ever. Yes. Brenda, you are working for sure.
Brenda, we got you in there. Lawntism, I got you in there now. Okay. Broke Farmer, you was already in there. I got you. They said no more people, better off.
Hey man, I'm telling you, I guarantee I would bet that Broke is probably gonna win one of these. I wouldn't be scared to bet that Broke is gonna probably win one of these.
Yeah, he's gonna win at least one thing. Okay. All right. Well, that's it. That's all we got. We got an extra entry. Let me go ahead and share this screen. Let me get to it. Boom. So we got 21 entries. Got everyone in there that wanted to be a part of the giveaway. We're gonna hit a shuffle a few times. And the first thing that we're gonna give away, PJ, you pick. What's the first thing we're gonna give away?
Let's do a simple lawn solutions pack.
Okay, we're gonna do a simple lawn solutions pack, and that consists of a 32 ounce or 1 quart bottle of soil hume, soil loosener, and the extreme growth 618 0. So without further ado, let's hit this spin button. That was loud.
Hey,
Oh,
Lynette
and we just answered her question.
Boom, Lynette Lewis. I need you to email me at, let me go ahead and drop it in the chat and I'm gonna pin it to the top. Email me here, Rob Palmy 357 at turftherapy.net.
She was late joining the live and got her a good win.
came right on in and got us something.
Yeah,
That's some good stuff, Lynette.
Congrats.
I pinned my email to the top, so you can go ahead and email me where you would like your product shipped out to, and congratulations.
Hey, can we go ahead and can you go ahead and remove Lynette? You can remove her from the
Oh yeah, let me go ahead and remove her. Lynette Lewis, got to get you out of there. Sorry, you already won. Well, shuffle. Thank you, Cam. Keeping me on my P's and Q's. And Cam, what's the next thing we're gonna give away? How about that? We doing another simple lawn solution? You want to go over the collagen? We want to go ahead and drop that seed on them? What you want?
Hey man, you know I gotta rock with my man Pete. I'm gonna go ahead and rock. Hey, we gonna help the people out. And I'm gonna rock with my man Pete over there with that. We're gonna get that seed away.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and give this seed away. Now remember, if you are not in a transition zone or higher or above, go ahead and pass this winning off to someone else. Don't be taking your winnings and then selling them on Facebook Marketplace. Don't do that. Don't do that, people. Okay, so without further ado, let's let it ride. Let's let it ride. It's so loud. Is that loud for you too? Love notes.
Love notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So love notes. I know that
right.
you are technically in the transition zone.
Nice.
So what do you want to do? You're at the lower end of that. I mean, you're down in Georgia. Are you in deep Georgia or what you want to do, love notes? I can't see the chat right now. Do you want to pass it, love notes, and stay in the game? Let me spin again. Or do you want to try your wits with this seed? Y'all let me know what she says.
All right, I'll watch the chat.
Now I'll go ahead and let you know that you're gonna want to roll with the cool blue. No. You're gonna want to run with the turf type tall fescue as deep in the south as you are.
Yeah.
And if you have a shady area, it'll work well in your shady area as well. Your shady area, turf type tall fescue, that's what you're gonna want to use if you do choose it.
All right, so maybe we can roll to the next one and see exactly what we want to do while we wait for love notes.
For love notes? Well, then I need
She
to
can use the seed.
Oh, she said.
Oh no, she can't. She can't use the seed.
Okay, so let's spin again. Let's shuffle and let's spin again.
She had a question mark though. She might be asking.
Oh,
she put a question mark at the end.
She said, "Give it to William."
I'm sorry. Did I pull the trigger too fast? She said, "Do what now?"
Yeah, she had a question mark, like she can't use the seed. Oh, she wants to pass it.
Okay, she's passing it. So Steve Donahue, I'm not sure where you are in the Americas, in the great Americas. What would you like to do? Are you going to keep this prize or are you going to pass it on to another viewer? Are you in the transition zone or cool season zone, Steve? Thank you, love notes. I appreciate that. You could have probably pulled off the turf type tall fescue, but you was gonna have to keep her watered during this time of the year. That's for sure.
Yeah, but see, my thing is I don't think that would be a real good fit for love notes, honestly. With the amount of work that she was gonna have to put in with the watering and with the garden and with everything, I think she has better options. I think there are better options for her.
I agree. So Steve, we'll give you a couple minutes Well, not even a couple minutes. We give you another 30 to 60 seconds, and then we'll accept that you've claimed it. So, Ole Pole.
Holy pole.
What?
The E is silent.
I'm sorry. Ole Pole. She said, nah. Steve, where you at, man? Where you at, Steve?
Steve is in here.
He was in here earlier.
4, 3, 2, 1.
We're not gonna do Steve like that. So look, we're gonna put
let's roll.
Yeah, we're gonna put a placeholder on you, Steve. I'm gonna remove you for now because like I said, you're not gonna win multiple times. And if you don't claim your prize by Friday, if you had to step away, I understand. But if you don't claim your prize or if you end up passing it, we'll just give it away in the next episode. We'll do it like that. Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So let's move on. Let's go. Nope, that's not it.
That's 2 down. We still got 3 more left to give away.
Still got 3 more left to give away. All right, let me pull this back up. Come on, why? Can y'all see it?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Gotcha.
Good. Let's find our man Steve. Steve, where you at? There we go. Get you out of there, Steve. 19 odds. Those are good odds. Those are good odds. Is it as loud as it is for everyone else as it is for me? No? Like, it is like intensively loud for me.
Nah, it's not that loud on my end.
Okay. I told you. We didn't say what we was giving away. It could be
Polo. Hey, Polo,
pick. Pick, Polo. Is it a collagen gel or simple lawn solutions?
Water.
We had some hydrogen.
Hydrotank. There we go. All right. So it's the collagen gel lineup. That's perfect. A collagen gel lineup. It is Broke Farm.
Broke. I need you to tell me some lottery numbers tonight. I'm telling you. Go right over and go. I tell you, man.
Broke winning every giveaway.
Man.
Me and Turf said, like, and I said, I was like, I would not be scared to bet that Broke was gonna win at least one of these. At least
one. Okay, so I'm gonna choose, and we're gonna go back over the Simple Lawn Solutions products for the next winner. All right, let's spin it. Backyard all day.
Backyard all day.
My man Zach. Congrats, Zach.
Backyard all day. You just won you a Simple Lawn Solutions pack. It's a good product. Good product. GCI, SLS. Just taking my notes over here. Eco, backyard all day. Boom. So that's 1, 2. We got one more.
I hope you wrote Broke instead of Eco.
No, I wrote Broke, and then I wrote Eco next to it.
Okay.
Or a collagen gel.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Eco, he probably sleep. He probably sleeps somewhere. Taking him his old man nap right now. All right, Lions Crest, you was so close, man. Oh no, that was me shuffling it. Okay, all right, let's let it ride. Grace Ortiz.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I'm glad Grace got us something. That's a good. Grace has been.
Congrats, Grace.
Yeah.
I think Grace has been supporting all of our channels.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Grace is a huge supporter. I went ahead and threw you a wrench tonight because my wife made a boo-boo. So I just went ahead and fixed that by making sure that you are always free to post. If you don't want it, I'll take it back from you. Just send me a DM. No sweat. Okay, so now we can get back to our regular scheduled program. We did a nice little giveaway. I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys know that our giveaways won't be announced. We'll do them like this. Whenever we got them in the pocket, whenever we got something in the bank, the companies that support us, we'll just randomly do one when we feeling good, want to give back. Okay. So, because we want you guys who watch us just off the strength of watching and supporting us have the best chance to win rather than a whole bunch of people flood in just for trying to win product. Not taking anything away from people who are being what's the word? Opportunistic. There it is. Right. Not taking anything away from them, but we want to make sure it gets in the hands of the people that support us most. So moving forward, so the next topic we're going to discuss, which we've been beating around for a while, is the actual seeding process, right? So for the seeding process, we already discussed like the importance of buying quality seed. Listen, don't go out there and get the cheapest seed because it's the most convenient seed to buy at the big box store. And to be honest, I think that the big box store is going to start stepping their game up. As you as the consumer start getting smarter, as you educate yourself and you know what you're looking for, they will adjust. You be you and they will adjust. Like my man Cam says all the time, be you and they will adjust. So if you start taking your business elsewhere because you are demanding a higher quality of a product, then these big boxes will adjust and they will provide that status quo that you're looking for. Now, when it comes into seeding, you might think like how much seed I should throw out, right? I'm gonna just throw out a whole bunch of seed. I'm gonna take this 50 pound bag and I'm gonna spread it across this 1,000 square feet. Don't do that. Don't do that because as PJ was speaking about earlier, she has a little dieback happening in her lawn, right? So she'll be overseeding for different reasons, not necessarily because she has a lot of weeds, but because she had a little bit of dieback due to overcrowding of some seeds. And it's not that she did anything wrong per se, just sometimes that happens. And now she's looking at overseeding with maybe a Kentucky bluegrass that will help with that stitch pattern and just give her lawn that self-repair ability. So when it comes to the how much to apply, you're just going to read the bag. The bag will tell you whether or not you're doing an overseeding, a rate for an overseeding. So for something like a Kentucky bluegrass, I'm spitballing here, don't quote me, but it may say something like 2 to 4 pounds per 1,000 square feet for overseeding a pure Kentucky bluegrass seed. That might be your rate. It's usually going to be on the lower end. And then if you're doing a bare ground seeding, it may kick you up somewhere between 6 to 8 pounds per 1,000 square feet. Again, I'm spitballing. Always read your labels, read the back of the bag. All the information is there. Just read each little section of that bag and you'll get your spreading rates. And that will vary depending on the type of seed you ended up going with. Does anyone on the panel have anything to add to that?
My only thing is I think it's even lower than that for a Kentucky bluegrass.
I think it is too, but I just kind of
out there. 2 pounds per 1,000.
It probably is 2 pounds per 1,000 for overseed because the Kentucky bluegrass is
Kentucky bluegrass is low.
Very low.
The only other thing that I will say with seeding is I agree with turf, and I've had that experience even on bare ground seeding of more is not better. And what you're going to do is the more you crowd that, especially bare ground, and I've bare ground seeded 2.5 years now, multiple times. The more you crowd that area, as the seed and the plant comes up, it germinates. Now it's in a competition for water, space, and nutrients. So now you've created all of that additional competition, which may look great in the fall with optimal temperatures and optimal environmental conditions. But then when you get into the following year and you get the disease pressure and you get all of the extra moisture and humidity and all of that that's going on, that's when the problem really starts to come in. I feel like it's a little bit better, especially on that first year of bare ground seeding with the renovation, get solid coverage, but not going for that super dense, like full lush, like it's just as thick as you want it to be on that first year of seeding. Because like now you will allow for more airflow throughout that canopy to fight off that disease pressure. What you want to do is you want to build that thick and lush lawn over time. That's one of the reasons for We Workin. It's going to take time. Like this isn't something that you're going to be able to put down and say, yo, I'm done. I did this one time, this 1 year, and now my lawn is going to be amazing for the rest of its lifetime. It's going to take consistent work. So build that thick canopy and the thickness you want over time, and don't try to do it all at once.
Yeah, absolutely. Double down on everything that Cam said for sure. Polo, PJ, you got anything to add?
No, Cam hit it right on me.
Yeah.
Go ahead, people.
No, I don't have anything. I was saying the same thing. Cam hit the nail on the head.
Right. And then on the next thing that I want to hit when it comes to the seeding, well, we kind of talked about this earlier. You already know how our business-oriented individuals feel about this. And this comes to broadcast spreaders versus drop spreaders, right? There's Spiker Nation all day, or Permagreen Premiers, or whatever the heck it's called, where you can ride it on and off 10 pass minimum. 10 pass max is their standard. If it takes more than 10 passes, they don't want it. Whereas I'll tell you, if you're trying to be a little bit more strategic and accurate with your application of your seed, especially if you're doing a bare seeding, there's a benefit to drop spreading, to a drop spreader. Now, keep in mind, you're only covering your swath is only the swath of that. There is no swath. It is just the length of that drop spreader. So if you have a 22-inch drop spreader, that's how much space you're covering, right? 22 inches. So, and you're probably going to want about 2 inches of overlap because it's 22 inches width, but I don't know if that's from tire to tire or to reservoir to, from edge to edge on the reservoir. So you'd have to measure that out, but just keep in mind, you might want to have some 2 to 3 inch overlap, which means for 1,000 square foot lawn, depending on the dimensions of that lawn, that might take a while. But
you're gonna be out there all day spreading seed at 1,000 square feet. Man, get out of here, man. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Hey, people got time for that. I'm just letting you know that's what you're dealing with. Who was it? William, he said PGR blend saying 25 to 35 pounds per 1,000 square feet for putting greens, overseeding concerns here. I mean, listen, if the bag tells you to do it, go for it. The thing about a perennial ryegrass plants, it's a slimmer plant. It's a much slimmer plant than, let's say, a turf type tall fescue.
What was he saying? What was he saying now?
He was saying perennial ryegrass blend is saying a 25 to 35 pounds per 1,000 square feet for putting greens, overseeding concerns here. I mean, that sounds like a lot, but maybe call the company and make sure that their label is right. I don't.
Yeah, that don't sound right to me unless it's just for the fact that he said putting green. So
right.
You're not going to get very much tillering, and it's going to be so short that like every plant is going to have to fill a space,
right?
Because you're not going to get any kind of tillering off very much because it's going to be cut so short.
Right.
So if you're talking putting green, we're talking home lawn. Like that's
right. Well, I mean, people have putting greens on their home lawn. Like I mentioned, Turf Tamer, the Turf Tamer, he's got a lot of stuff going on IG. The lawn tools, people have putting greens.
I agree with that, but our rates and putting green rates are like that level of care, and what you're trying to do on a putting green is like almost completely different from what you would do in a home lawn. So that's a specific scenario is all I'm pointing at.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, hands down. I think the highest rate on the perennial ryegrass I overseeded with was like 8 to 10 pounds per 1,000 square feet. That was I don't remember if that was overseeding on bare ground, but that seems very high. I'll agree.
even on my bare grounds now, like I've seeded, like I said, multiple times bare ground, and I've been at like a 10 pound rate per thousand.
Yeah.
And I still think I should go lower.
Right.
I think it should be, after, just from experience seeing it in multiple lawns, I think it should be closer to that 8 pound. I think it should be closer to the 8 pounds.
And thank you for mentioning that. The lawn engineer, the engineer, he said he uses it for a trim pass. And that's a great way to keep seed out of your flower beds. So if you have a drop spreader already on hand, because they're not cheap, they're more expensive than rotary spreaders when you're talking about just your homeowner level entry ones. Using it for your trim passes along your edge because you don't want seed thrown into your flower bed or off in the concrete. That's a perfect application of using a drop spreader as well.
Hey,
and then
go
ahead, Polo.
Steve jumped into the chat. Steve, his Turf's information is up at the top in the blue bar. Be able to email him because he said he wanted that seed.
Okay, yeah, perfect, Steve. Yeah, my email is is pinned at the top of the chat. Just shoot me your email. Shoot me your address where you want the seed sent off to, and whether or not you want your cool blue or turf type tall fescue and the size of your lawn, so we can make sure we get you the proper amount of seed out to you. So I need your lawn size specifically for the seed. I need your lawn size and which bag you want, whether it be the cool blue or turf type tall fescue. Shoot me that email over and I'll let you know when that gets sent out to you. Congrats
again, by the way, Steve. Yeah, congrats.
I'm glad that worked out because we definitely gave it to you and kept it moving. Yeah. Did you have something else, Cam or Polo, as far as the spreader?
I do agree with Vince though. For a trim pass, I do agree with that.
Yeah.
And my way around that is I've gotten pretty good at knowing how well and where my spreader throws. And you can gauge, like when you've done it a time or two, you can lay that seed pretty close to that edge. And I will actually come up short. And what I'll do is, as I'm coming back around, I'll just do a little quick little hand touch up and keep that thing moving, and I'm good.
Right. Mike, you missed the giveaway, bro. You missed the giveaway. Okay, and then the last thing I want to hit before I pass it to Cam for post-seeding action will be peat moss versus no peat moss or straw. And we've already kind of hit on this earlier. Another option would be using a tackifier, but it kind of still falls in the realm of peat moss. Now, I can tell you, I've had 2 experiences with doing both. And peat moss is dirty. You're going to get dirty. It's going to be messy. But if you're a beginner and you need a way to make sure that you keep a good pulse on your moisture, peat moss is a good option. But right out of the bag, peat moss is going to be hydrophobic, meaning it's going to reject water. Now, once you get it moist, it holds water pretty well. It will maintain that moisture pretty well. But one thing with peat moss is you do not want it to dry out because it could end up doing more bad than good on the long term if you're consistently letting it die out. Another benefit of using peat moss is if you have a bare seeding area that you're doing and the birds want to eat your seed. Listen, I literally watch the birds come into my lawn and pick seed out. Now, do they eat so much to where it will completely ruin an overseed or a bare lawn renovation? I don't think so, but they will eat the seed. So putting that layer of peat moss is additional protection and a good way to make sure that you're maintaining the proper amount of moisture. Now, when it comes to the straw, you got to be careful with the straw. Sometimes they spray straw with different herbicides that can have a negative effect on the germination of your seed alone. If you're in the gardening realm, we saw what the straw did to Homestead Heart's watermelon patch. So be cognizant of that. And on top of that, you still have to deal with all of that debris from the straw once the grass germinates. So now you got a mess on your hand because it's not going to break down and just meld itself with your soil profile like the peat moss will. Now, people would argue that peat moss could change your pH. I'm not even going to go down that alley, but I will say it takes a lot of peat moss to shift your pH that much, you know, and I'll just leave it there. If someone else has a different opinion on it, that's fine. That's why we're here. We're more than one perspective. And then I will open it up to the panel to see if they have anything to add to the peat moss versus no peat moss or straw. And I will say this last thing. If you're going to pick peat moss over straw, I would go with peat moss because your straw could also carry weed seed. Like it's just,
it's
go
too
with the
much.
peat moss. It's just too much. I would just go with the peat moss. That's my vote.
Peat moss over the straw. And if you are doing overseeding, you're going to be having some stand of turf, like what Cam was saying. Half of the people don't cover it up; they'll just spread it and then just leave it. You know, you can do that if you want to do that as well, depending on what situation that you're working with. But whenever I'm doing bare dirt, I will do peat moss to go ahead and cover that up, unless you are slit seeding. If you're doing slit seeding, then you're good to go.
So, PJ.
Yeah, I mean, I say peat moss too. I will say, Cam, you gave me something else to think about this year, which is I will only use the peat moss on bare spots. I'm not going to use it in the established grass. I don't think I need it. But other than that, it's always worked for me. I haven't had any negative results from it. So I say peat moss for bare spots.
I say bare ground. So my thing is it's additional time, cost, and effort. Once, and as I've always said, I'm a believer in dialing in your water and your irrigation. Once you dial in your watering and you get your timer set and you just kind of pay attention to what's going on just a little bit, like it don't take a whole lot. But if you're monitoring it and just once you get that dialed in, your timers do the work, your irrigation is there, your water is there. I'm from the South and we've grown acres and acres on acres of whatever. And it ain't been no peat moss out there. You don't see no peat moss on no turf farms anywhere else either. So I'm a believer, like to me, for the extra cost, time, and effort, it doesn't benefit it for me. And if you dial in your irrigation, like just making sure that once you dial in your irrigation, I think you're good to go bare ground. But one thing that I do for my bare ground seedings is that I make sure that I don't just leave the seeds sitting on top of the soil. I will come back with like a raking method and just kind of cover that seed with a little bit of soil. So the seed is not just sitting on top of like a bare, right on top of the bare ground. I come back with a rake type method to make sure you work that seed into that seed bed. So now it's actually enclosed and covered a little bit. So it holds some more of that moisture being protected by that seed or by that soil. So I'm a bare ground. And if I'm doing overseeding, I use the canopy of the existing lawn to give that protection. So I don't see the benefit for me, in my opinion. I don't see the benefit of using the peat moss.
And that's why we bring you 4 different opinions to let you know our experience. One thing that I did want to touch that I forgot that I saw earlier was hydro seeding. I've never seen a clean hydro seed. Usually hydro seed is filled with all types of nasty stuff from what I've seen. I'm sure there may be a clean hydro seed out there, but I would rather just throw it in the broadcast spreader and spread it out than go with the hydro seeding. And unless anyone has something to add to that statement, I'm going to pass it off to Cam to talk about post-seeding operations. That's pretty much it.
All right, so we've kind of walked everybody through this process. Now we got the seed down. We got the seed in the ground. Now what do we need to do? So the thing you need to do is water. You've done all of this extra work. You've gotten prepared. You've made a plan. You've got quality seed. You've put it down. You used a nice broadcast spreader, and you got your seed in place. And now is not the time at the end of all of that, the time to slack off. Now is the time to make sure that you continue and finish out the process with proper watering. And just like in my last statement, I am a believer in dialing in that irrigation and that watering plan, because this is going to be that germination that you get is going to be dependent upon you watering properly. So what does that mean? As I stated earlier, I don't like giving a time or how many times you need to water, because there are so many different variables. How hot is it? What's the soil type? What's your soil structure? How much shade do you have? How much sun do you get? There's so many variables that you can't blanket say, go water to everybody. You can't say, go water 4 times a day for 15 minutes. It's too many variables. So what I like to do is I like to promote the thought to help people figure out what they need to do. And that is, how many ever times you need to water based off of your soil, what your soil tells you it needs, is to make sure that seed is still moist. You never want that seed to dry out. Once you wet it the first time, you want that seed to stay moist until it comes up as a plant throughout that whole process. So normally ryegrass is going to be the first thing to come up. It's going to come screaming out of the ground after about 4 days of being wet. That ryegrass is going to be coming up. Turf type tall fescue is not going to be far behind it. Probably within that, I've had some GCI that have came up in 5 to 6 days. It was already coming up. But normally it's within that 10-day mark, you're going to start to get germination. And then Kentucky bluegrass is going to be the last to come up. Kentucky bluegrass is going to be around that 10, maybe 14-day period for some solid germination. You'll get a little germination earlier, but solid germination is going to happen probably around that 10 to 14-day mark. And it could, for the newer varieties, but it could be longer for some of the other ones. So once you've done that, you've got some good germination, you want to continue to water and keep that moist. But once you've gotten about a good covering across the lawn, that's the time for you to now kind of start backing down on the water. Where if you are watering multiple times a day, say you're watering 4 times a day, 5 times a day, whatever the case may be, once you have that nice coverage, maybe you can get away with 1 to 2 times a day. You want to start backing that water down a little bit. And then once you get your first mow in, well, Cam, when can I do my first mow? On the test plot that I did with the Mountain View seed that y'all have seen, I actually was on that and mowing it at 2 weeks. I gave it 14 days exactly. And I was on it with a reel mower, one of the light manual reel mowers, cutting it. Actually, I think I waited a week and a half. I don't even think it was 2 weeks, because I wanted to really test that. I waited 2 weeks for my back lawn. I cut that at a week and a half. I gave it a week and a half and I was on it and was cutting it. And I continued to cut it as often as I could, probably on about a 5-ish day interval, just to make sure that I was promoting that growth. And one thing with growing turf and growing grass is it loves to be cut. The more you cut it, it's just going to continue to grow. And that's what we want to do in the fall. In the fall, we want to push it as much as we can. We want to get the roots as deep as possible. We wanted to get to mature and harden off as much as possible before the winter gets here. Because what we're going to be working with in the summer of the following year is going to be based on what we set up and the root structure and the plant development that we got in the fall. So a lot of that is going to be based on what you're doing after you get that seed down and the germination that you get. So you can get on it within 2 weeks of it coming up, and you've got some good growth on it, and you've getting good solid coverage. I would say 2 weeks, you're okay to get on it. But what I will say is get on and get off. Be a little gentle with it. Get on and get off. If you've got a real mower, I've heard people talking putting greens and all of that. Real mowers at that stage of a bare ground seeding or early seeding might be a little too heavy. You want to be as gentle as you can, get on and get off as far as that. For an overseeding, actually for an overseeding, you can look at from a watering standpoint, you have an existing canopy. So you don't necessarily have to water as much as you would on a bare ground seeding, because that canopy is going to help protect that seed and hold some of that moisture down into the soil. So at that point, you just want to make sure that you're monitoring, and what you don't want to do is overwater your existing lawn and start to cause fungus. So that's one of the things that you really need to pay attention to, and just monitor it those first couple of days when you're watering. Stick your hand down in the soil in that canopy and see how much moisture is still there. If you can stick your hand in there and you still feel moisture down in the soil and it feels a little damp, that's okay. You're good. What you don't want it to do is just feel like the soil is saturated or soaked. So for overseeding is a little easier than a bare ground seeding for like a full renovation. But again, even for an overseeding, I recommend that you get your timer. Make sure you dial in that timer. It just relieves so much stress off of you. Don't worry about you've got hoses and stuff ran across your lawn. Check out my video. I showed you how you can hide those. And don't worry about any of your sprinkler heads sticking up. You're preparing for the following year. When you've got the best lawn on the block that next year, nobody's going to remember that you had water hoses all across your lawn and sprinkler heads and all of that sticking up. So take this time and make sure that you dial in your watering. That's definitely one of the things to do. And on top of that, or before I leave watering, does anybody else have anything else on the panel?
I just want to say really quick, as far as for the when you talk about watering your seed for your germination, when you were talking about keeping your seed wet, and I always talking about how you don't want to basically yo-yo it. If you keep it wet, if you water it and then it dries out, and then you water it and then it dries out, you're going to slow down your germination rate. So you that's why it's important for you to keep that seed moist. You want to keep that seed moist, and that's all up to you. Some people's lawns are small. Some people's lawns are, they have several square footage. Some people have half of acres, on and on and on. You want to try your best to keep that seed moist, regardless of how many times you water it. That's for you to be the judge on that. We're just giving recommendations, but you definitely need to keep that seed moist, like he was saying, regardless of how much water that you give it, because you don't want that seed drying out. That's what you don't want. I want to chime in and say that also.
Yep. Anybody got anything else?
Get a timer. It's worth the money.
Definitely worth it.
Get it.
I did see that we had a couple questions come in. Talking Trini.
Y'all hear that rain? Do you hear that rain? You can't hear it?
Nah.
Right, it's a like massive storm. Listen, people, if I lose you, we're gonna knock on wood. It's the storm. It wasn't anything else of that because it is storming out there, but we need it, so I'm happy for it.
It's probably coming my way next then.
Yep.
It's here. I hear something going on outside.
That means it's left. That means it's left my area. Y'all can have all that rain. Let me tell you something really quick. I was sharing this with the group from Monday until now, and I know one person said they got 10 inches. We've got 4.5 inches of rain, and we have humidity that is sky high. So just imagine what we're going through. We don't need any more rain. We're good. Y'all can have it. Let it rain in y'all neighborhood.
So Trini, to answer your question about the reel mower, when I say reel mower, we're talking like the manual reel mower, not like a Greens Master or something like that. We're talking the push, the regular 7-blade that you can pick up from like one of your big box stores or something like that for $100, $125 or something like that. They are good at the early stages because they provide you that clean cut. So that is accurate. But I'm just not talking about like a self-propelled like type of reel mower. And I think we had, I'm gonna look, I think there was another.
Mike had a question about how to cut for turf type tall fescue.
How to cut. I think I talked about this earlier with Lynette. I normally like to take mine down to about between 2.5 and 3 inches. Normally I'm down to about 3 inches is kind of where I'm at. And I like to take mine down to that level. Right now I'm at 4 1/4 in my front lawn, which is the tallest. I am going to start working that down. My first cut that hits in August. So I'll work that down over the course of the month of August. End of August is going to hit and I should be down. The reason I do that is because I don't want to lose that much color out of one cut. I just want to keep some color in there. And by stepping it down, I'll continue to be able to keep some color as I bring the turf down lower. So yeah, I'm normally between that 2.5 and 3 inch mark when I do my overseeding, and then I'll let it grow probably till it's back up to maybe 4 inches, 4.5 before I even get ready to start. It might even get taller than that before I get out there and cut it again for an overseed. Panel, what do y'all think? What do y'all go with?
I agree.
I usually go about 2.5. 2.5 because my difference is Cam, you said you cut yours pretty early, less than 2 weeks. I try to avoid cutting it as long as possible. So I'll cut it down to 2.5 and hope that I can at least make it 3 weeks before I do my first cut.
Different perspectives. That's why we're all here,
Yep, and that's the thing, PJ. You go out there and you start throwing that, and we've already threw that starter fert down too. That stuff's gonna be jumping out. It's gonna be cooler temperatures, and it's gonna be jumping out the ground. It's gonna be ready to grow.
Y'all see Justin in there talking trash. Justin said, "Doesn't look like anyone in here is working." What we doing, Justin? All whispers in the building. Thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Y'all working, my friend.
Hey, Justin, man, we working real hard.
Working real hard, Justin.
He must be at the firehouse.
We had a question that came in that says, how often do you sharpen your blades in a year? I'm gonna tell you right now, Polo, PJ, and Cam probably sharpen their blade twice a month because Polo, PJ and Cam have that all-American sharpener contraption that makes things just so easy. And then Polo, he's a pro. He just used one of them old school filing things because y'all know he was born in 1850. He uses a whetstone and a sand grit pad, but keep them blades sharp, people. For the average person, I would say get your blades sharpened every 2 to 3 months, and you'll be okay. Unless you're hitting a whole bunch of sticks and rocks and a whole bunch of mulch, you'll be fine. But Polo and Cam, they run a business. PJ, she's starting her business this season. But check them, just look at them, take a look at them, take a peek at them, just like you look at your lawn, look at your blades, you'll see.
And you can look at your grass blades and it'll tell you when you need to sharpen your mower blade. So and that's the thing. I have people look at me and it was like, Cam, well, why you go out there? Like, I really like pick up almost every stick that falls in my lawn. And people like, Cam, like, why do you keep your lawn? Like, why are you so particular about that? For 2 reasons. I like to walk barefoot in my lawn and I hate stepping on a stick when I'm barefoot that I couldn't see. Yes, I am. I'm normally barefoot in my lawn all the time. And the second reason is because I want my blade to stay sharp as long as possible. And that's the reason for doing it. You're continuously hitting sticks and all of this and debris, all of that. It just dullens your blade a lot quicker than when you're just cutting gentle grass blades. So I probably will hit mine twice a month, to be honest. But when I'm slacking, it's at least once a month. Most of the time, I'll probably do mine twice a month. What about you, PJ? Same?
It just varies. Yeah, I do it at least once a month.
Yeah.
And I really base mine off of the blades, like you said. Like, so I go on, I take pictures all the time, right? So I take a picture, it's like, oh, that picture's delete that because blades are messed up.
So since you say that, and I said it too, but I'm gonna get your opinion on it. What does it look like when your blades needs to be sharpened? What does your lawn look like, or what's an indicator that we can give to people to let them know when they need to sharpen their blade?
Well, I mean, for me, it's just the yellowish tint it has throughout the whole lawn. It's pretty evident. So that's the indicator for me. Like, yeah, you got to do something. And I mean, also your clippings will show it too, if you bag. And obviously during the fungus situation, I was bagging a lot. So it was pretty evident.
Yeah. And to me, I use those same indicators. It's like when you go out and you cut it and it looks like, okay, like when you initially cut it, but then you come back and you look at it like the next day and it looks like hazy. And it just doesn't look like crisp, like all the way across, like you just cut it. Normally it's like, yeah, it's probably time to sharpen those blades a little bit. And that's what I use as an indicator. You should never have shredded like teeth on your grass blade. Right. It should be a clean, crisp cut on your grass blades. So that's what you should really be looking for.
Yeah, Grace cracking me up. Grace said, yes, my husband sharpens my blades every 3rd cut. If I cut the grass, he has to do something. Say it again.
That's a 50-50 over there, man. Come on.
I'm 100% on both ends.
I hear you over there, Grace.
Every fourth mow from Justin, the lawn whisperer. Yeah, this is another good point. I have 2 sets of blades as well too, because what you'll find is sometimes if you don't sharpen your own blades and you take them to get you drop them off to get sharpened, you have 2 sets of blades. That way you can put your fresh blade on, drop the other one off to get them sharpened. You can keep on as business, keep on going and keep you a fresh blade in the pocket at all times, especially if it gets dinged up real bad and it's not going to be recoverable. So William Augustus also asks, is anyone grinding reels? None of us real mow, but stay tuned to Turf Therapy, because when I get to Germany, I'm looking at the climate over there, and your boy might be real mowing. I'm looking at it and I'm like, hey man, I fell in love with this perennial rye over here, and depending on the size of my lot, when I get there, y'all might see some real mowing action on turf therapy come spring next year, because I'm gonna get there too late to do anything with it. So you're gonna see me try to figure out how to relabel in Deutsch. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be real fun.
All right, so I think we got one more topic, maybe two more, but I know we got to hit this one.
Yeah, because this already came up, so that's perfect.
So after that, now that we got germination, we got that first mow in, like we're looking good, we excited. All right, now what do we need to be doing? It's time to get back into fertilization. You need to make sure that you're continuing to push that new seed and that new grass that has came up. You want to get it hardened off. You wanted to get it to mature. You want it to grow and establish that root mass that it's going to need to survive through the winter and also to survive through the next summer. And we say it all the time, in cool season land, we prepare 9 months of the year for the hardest 3 months of the year on a cool season lawn, which is June, July, and August. That's what we do 9 months out of the year. And it starts when you do your overseeding, putting that new seed down. So when you get in there and you start talking about fertilization, I'm on last year on my lawn, after I overseeded, I was back on it again, fertilizing with a spoon feeding method. And when I say a spoon feeding method, I was putting down less than a quarter pound of N, particularly N. It can be spoon feeding, can be any of your other macronutrients. But in the fall, I was specifically looking for N, which was going to control the amount of growth that I was going to get out of my lawn. I was going down with a quarter pound or a little bit less. Most of the time it was about a quarter pound of N for about 6 or 7 weeks. Every single week I was hitting it. And what I realized is the lawn loved it for one reason. Well, one reason in particular. I have a low CEC soil, which means that I am not able to hold very much nutrients for long periods of time in my soil. And the reason I know this is because I had a soil test. I had a soil test that was telling me that information. So I was able to adapt a fertilization plan to address that. And by doing it, my lawn, as far as from establishment standpoint, probably the best establishment I had ever had in doing a overseeding or a bare ground renovation. So I encourage you, make sure you get a soil test and make sure that you're fertilizing in the fall to really push that lawn. I have a couple of clients that I'm working with. I'm kind of helping them out, giving them some recommendations. I'm looking at pushing at least a half a pound of N into the lawn in this fall. You want to be pushing that growth in the fall. This is when you want to get it good and established and mature in the fall time frame. Your roots are growing, you're building that root mass, and this is what we're going to survive on in the summer of 22. So panel, what do y'all like to go with? What are your plans for fertilization? Do you like the spoon feeding method, or does your soil hold larger amounts and you just throwing it down?
So I have been riding with the spoon feeding method ever since we got past Mother's Day. After we shifted past Mother's Day, I'm not doing any applications. Really, I haven't done any application more than 1/8 of a pound of N specifically. Now I've came in heavier with potassium and phosphorus leading up to the summer due to preparing for that summer stress. But overall, usually I find that my lawn has responded better, maintained color better. And I've even been using Pro P 1111 for the past 6 weeks. And it just seems like my turf prefers that. It prefers that even feed because I'm super deficient in phosphorus and potassium. That's what I'm doing over here in turf headquarters. What you got, Polo?
I'm not gonna give away no juice of how my lawn is doing right now. I'm gonna save it I'm gonna save it for a video. I'm just going to say this. My line is money green.
Money green.
And yeah, I'm not gonna give too much.
Yeah.
But as far as as far as some of my clients, it really kind of depends on what their soil test is telling me. Is most definitely like what Cam said with the CECs. Some of them I do spoon feed, and some of them I do hit them hard. But of course, you know, in the fall time is when you really want to give it that nice, good feeding, because that's when you're going to get a lot of root growth, especially with a cool season line, because cool season line loves cooler temperatures. That's when you really want to be kind of hitting it hard, or, you know, spoon feeding, depending on however your line is going to respond. But I have a lot of people's lines that respond differently. So I have to do different approaches to cater to people's lines.
And I'm gonna add, I'm gonna come out of the summer and I'm dropping a half a pound of everything. Out of the summer, I'm dropping a half a pound of everything across the board. What you got, Pete?
And see, I think before, like, that's a good segue to what you just said, Turf, to Grace's question. And she was like, what about the roots? What about, I focused on N. It's going to depend on your soil test. So the reason that I said what I said is because I'm high in phosphorus in my backyard. I don't need any phosphorus. So I was definitely focused on my N. And that's what your soil test is going to drive you in the direction of what you need to be doing and building that fertilization plan. But the thing is that you want to be pushing the lawn in the fall. You want to push it. And Grace, I think you're in Maryland. I don't know if you're in Northern Virginia or Maryland.
She's in, I think she's in Maryland too. Yeah.
I think you're in Maryland. We're going to have a fertilizer. We have a fertilizer blackout. We can't apply any N or P after November 15th. So with that being said, you want to be throwing down whatever you need, whatever your soil needs, as much as possible early on, and not trying to wait till later on and then try to throw a lot of material down as far as nutrients. And there's also a significant amount of research you guys can look up that I've been reading about, which I read last year before I put my fertilization plan together for the fall, is that it is actually better to get all of those nutrients into the plant before it's like the end of the growing season. You want to get those nutrients absorbed into the plant before, instead of waiting till November and then you try to throw down a half a pound or 3/4 of a pound of nutrients. The plant doesn't want that much nutrients anymore. It's not going to take up all of that nutrients. So what you want to do, you want to start that program, that heavy feeding earlier on, and not waiting until the end of the growing season to be doing that.
PJ?
Yeah, I've this year alone, I've been doing more spoon feeding. And last year, I will say that I was throwing down basically every 30 days, just whatever, you know what I mean? And it was just like the summer of last year is when I discovered Stress X, because I was struggling. But this year, I took everything I learned last year and I've backed off quite a bit. It's probably every 45 days. And what I found that helps my lawn more are the soil amendments. So I've been kind of doing those every couple of weeks and everything's looking good. I mean, I'm green. I'm green. I'm good. And I like the plan that I'm on.
You money green too?
I'm money green, especially in the back, man.
So what are you, so PJ, what are you planning to do as far as your fall fertilization after you get your overseed done?
I'm probably going to put, I'm just going to use, I actually have some XST. So I have some of that, the Carbon X. So I was going to use that when I drop the seed.
We gotta pull one out for that.
Yeah. And go ahead and, I got to get rid of this stock I have over here. So yeah, I was going to go ahead and use that.
Mike, Mike, that was a great question. Reputable soil testing companies. You already know what I'm going to say. Listen, look up your local extension office, figure out who they recommend for your region specifically. They do different types of soil testing based off regions. You have like your Malic 3, Malic 4. There's different variations. And usually your extension office is going to point you in a direction for a soil test that's best for your region. And that soil test will be good for 2 to 3 years. So you're spending 10 to 25, maybe $30 on the high end for a soil test. That's going to be a data point for you to reference for the next 2 to 3 years. That is my recommendation to you. Now, I know that Cam, Polo, and PJ have different experiences with everyone else, but I think you should start with your extension office and see where they push you for your region, because that's going to be the best test for you.
And I'm gonna answer a question from Grace. Grace, she asked, "Why soil test for all of my customers?" Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, he said yes. That was it.
Yeah.
He answered the question. He said yes. Cam, soil test.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna chime in on. So I use Spectrum Analytic. That's who I go with for my soil testing. Anybody that gets a consultation from me, it is a must that I'm doing a soil test. It's not even negotiable. Before I can recommend anything or drive you in any direction, I need to know what's in your soil. So soil test is the first thing that I give. And it's I run it through Spectrum Analytic. I've heard good things about Logan Labs. I've heard Logan Labs is another good source. I haven't used them, but I've seen some of their soil test results. To me, it has everything that I would look for in a soil test. I think maybe Waypoint, maybe another one. I haven't used that one either, but if I was to say anything, I would say after your local extension office, if you're looking for something else, I would go with Spectrum Analytic, which is out of Ohio. Logan Labs is another one. I would go down one of those routes. So PJ?
Well, I'm for the local extension office. Here in where I am, I can get my kits for free from the library, and then they send off, the test goes off to Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
So,
and I Broke, if you're listening, that's perfect for you. You love free, Broke Farmer. There you go. Polo, who you use?
I have a really good relationship with my local extension office as well, and so I will most definitely work with them. They give me they work well with me. I'll just say that. But to jump back on Grace, Grace, I normally I will not apply anything to anyone's lawn without a soil test. I will not do that, and I let them know that before I even start. So before I even get started, before I even do any recommendations, that's the very first thing I do: soil test.
Yep.
Then we can go from there, because you're basically shooting in the dark whenever you're doing that, because you don't know where a person's pH is. You know, they have weeds in your line. You don't know if it's acidic or alkaline, and you need to find out what it is first before you start applying things to it. So that's the very first thing that I would do, and I suggest everyone to do it as well. Find out what is in your soil. Find out what is deficient in your soil. Then when you find out that, then you can be able to apply the things that your lawn needs, instead of just throwing a lot of things that a lot of people will recommend, and your lawn may not even need that. So be mindful when you're doing that. Soil test is most important.
And one thing I want to chime in, and just to say, like what Polo was just saying is, he does the same thing that I do. Like, just don't apply anything to a lawn blindly. And the thing is you're also wasting money. Like, you could be using a product that may be cheaper, or not even if not cheaper, it may be a more efficient, and you may be able to use less of whatever that product is that you want to apply, and it would make your dollar go a lot farther. So soil testing is not like, honestly, like I really think like from a soil testing standpoint, there's so many benefits to it that you can really save a lot of money by just being able to have a soil test and drive you in the right direction and stop throwing random products out on your lawn and wondering why you're not getting results.
Yeah, and for those who are thinking like, how do I figure out where my local extension office is? I just dropped the link again for you. Shameless plug. That is also available in the resources section on the Flipside Marketplace if you're looking for any seeds, lawn fertilizers, granular liquid fertilizers, whatever it may be. You can find, that's a catch-all for everything on the Flipside Marketplace if you weren't tracking. Go check it out. You might find something that you want. Hey, you might be a lawn care enthusiast and might want to grow your own basil. You know, that might be a good place for you to pick up the best deal in town that's smoking.
Or pick up a couple t-shirts.
Oh, a couple t-shirts from PJ, you know, drop the link for that as well. And we got one last thing to touch before we get out of here. We didn't mean to hold you here this long, guys, but it seems like you were enjoying it and getting valuable information. And I saw the question come across the screen a few times. PJ, she has experience with it. She kind of brushed on it earlier, but it's pre-emergent in timing. So like if you're going to go for the overseeding, can you still use a pre-emergent? What are your options if you want to? Pros and cons. Cam, let's wrap this thing up and put a bow on it.
So for me, I've never, so when PJ brought this scenario up that she was doing, it was a shock to me. Like I'll be honest. And I was like, really? Like you've been doing that and you've had like success being able to do it? And like she kind of walked through her process for doing it. It's interesting to me. And I'm intrigued. To be honest, I've never done it, but I understand how it could work. And I understand that there is definitely some benefits to being able to do it. And I'll let PJ get into her process of how she does it. But I've never done it. And to me, I'm always on the side of like pushing the edge of like being able to try something different than what's been traditionally said. This is how you have to do it. And I really think that PJ is on to something. And I think that this is something that that I will definitely be considering if I have the space or the need to be able to do it. And I think she has a history of like some poetry and some of those things, which is driving her decision to be able to do that. In my personal lawn, I don't have that need, but I have a client lawn that this is very applicable to that situation that I might be implementing. So I'm gonna toss it to PJ and let her get into her process about that pre-emergent.
Well, you know, basically this came across because I couldn't make a decision between one or the other. I couldn't. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to try this because, you know, this was my second year. Well, this was last year. It was my second year doing it. And I had gotten to that point where I was like, okay, guides are good, but this is my lawn. So I know my lawn. So let me try this. So the very end, probably the last week of August is when I hit it. I go ahead and I seed. Last year, the temperatures were just right. I mean, they were borderline. It was more than 70 degrees. The soil temperatures were more than 70, but I was like, I'm doing this. And so, you know, it did that and it germinated. And like, probably it was about 40 days later, 40 days after I seeded, I went ahead and dropped some prodiamine. And I didn't see any negative effects from doing what I did. I saw positive effects because my lawn this year, or once it went into the spring, I didn't have a lot of weeds. I did not have a lot of weeds. And that was the thing, you know, I want to establish my lawn so that it can be thick and fight off those weeds. And And again, this year, the only reason I'm doing it, and again, my lawn is thick. I probably don't need to overseed. I definitely don't need to overseed with fescue, but I want to get some of that bluegrass in there. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with the 2 pounds per thousand of the bluegrass. But again, you know, I always put it out there because people have asked me about it. You know, it's your decision. You got to know your lawn. If you feel like it can make it through that, then go for it. But I don't feel right not doing the pre-emergent, doing something. It may not be 100%, well, nothing's 100% effective, but you know, it definitely helped with the weeds. So.
Yeah, and more important than like knowing your lawn, PJ, I think what you highlighted there was your timing. You were right on time with your timing. Yeah. And that's the benefit of maintaining your own lawn. That's what we're here for. We're here to give you the information, to give you the tools, the power. We want to be able to come back next year and elevate this to a 301 course, you know, college course style. Like, we don't want to just hit the 101 next season. We want to amp it up. We want to go down that alley that we kind of avoided tonight and deep dive on some more information, like different techniques of, you know, dormant seeding, which is controversial topic, but you can do it and hope for the best, or using a fungicide to expedite process of your seed germination and preventing the possible fungus realm that does come into the cool season lawns as well in the fall overseeding. That's what we're here to do, and that's what we want to provide to you on this channel. We truly appreciate, unless you had anything else to add to that. Oh yeah, another pre-emergent herbicide that you can look into is mesotrione. But again, timing is very important with that, and I can tell PJ got something to add, so go ahead, PJ.
Yeah, because I forgot about that part. So that is part of my process. Actually, when I drop that seed, I do hit it with the tenacity mesotrione, because that gives you about a 30-day coverage.
Yeah.
You know, so then for me, that's 30 days coverage. And then 10 to 15 days after that, then I can go ahead and put down the prodiamine. So.
Yeah, I'd argue it's probably closer to 15 to 21 days with that meso.
Right.
But you know, hey, temperature dependent, lawn dependent, rain, water, all of that. I mean, variables, right? That's what we're here to talk about. Polo, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah. No pre-emergent over here.
And look, I don't do the pre-emergent either, especially prodiamine, because there are studies that show that it does root growth, the root growth. And in the fall, when we showed you the grow calendar earlier, you really wanted to drive roots. But you look at PJ's lawn, and she had arguably, and probably still does, arguably, between the team, We Workin team, she has the the cleanest, greenest color that I admire out of the We Workin team. Like, her lawn was greener than everyone else's. Then Polo came in right behind her, and then Cam was there, and I was still over here looking like I was asleep. I'm looking at them, they're out there mowing, and I'm still waiting for my lawn to wake up. So she did the pre-emergent in the fall, and yet her lawn was greener and looking better than mine by at least 2 or 3 weeks. So it just goes to show you, with the proper research, stepping outside the box, really understanding the process of these things, you can break some rules. You can go against the grain, so as long as you educate yourself and you do it properly. Cam?
And I'm going on, I'm about to go on 2 years now. No pre-emergent. And that's just having a thick stand of turf. 2 years. Yeah, 2 years. We ain't gonna talk about that. Y'all gonna find that about it pretty soon.
That 2 years.
But I'm going on 2 years, no pre-emergent, and that's just my lawn. I can't say that for everyone's. I am trying it out with some, just because some people's lawns, when we taking care of them, they have thickened up. They are responding much better. They are holding color a little bit better. So I do not see the need to try to put anything down. So I'm just going to ride it out with a couple of them, and then just see how they respond, because theirs is kind of somewhat matching up to mine. But no. No, pre-emergent over.
And that's my understanding though. Like once you get your lawn to that point, you don't need to pre-emerge every year.
Yeah, I started the season off with that, before I first mow. Hey, do you really need to go out there and throw out a pre-emergent? You probably don't. You got a thick, healthy stand of turf. You could probably skip that. You could probably hit the easy button and keep it moving. But that's pretty much all we got for the night. I think. Well, Cam, you got something else to say?
Oh no, I was just gonna touch it. Like I'm going to get to that point pretty soon, especially with my personal lawn, because I don't really deal with weeds. Like I've got, what you will see is I'm gonna get ready to take out some KY31 in my front yard. I'm about to do some selective kill-offs in my front lawn, and y'all just follow along that process. I'm not gonna do a full renovation this year on my front lawn. I'm gonna continue to work with what's there. So I'm gonna keep working on it, and I'm gonna keep seeing what's there. But I am gonna take out that KY31 that's in there. So it's right there. I will be taking out some spots of KY31. But in my back lawn, like for the past 3 years that I've been working on it, I can pretty much say that I can literally go out through a season and probably hand pick, which I do, like the weeds that I've had in there. So I'm probably going to give it another year of putting out pre-emergent, and I'm probably going to test it out and not go with any pre-emergents at all in my lawn and see how it goes. Like I'm pretty good on the weed free, but my client lawn has definitely had a lot of POA. And I think I'm gonna make the recommendation that we might recommend that she go down the PJ route and seed early and give it some time, and because we all know that's the best way to control POA is to hit it in the fall with a pre-emergent. So that I may make that as a recommendation.
All right. Well, what we're gonna do is, let me hit these 2 questions real quick. How do you feel about the starter fert with the miso tied into it? I feel like if you bought them separately, you come out better. But hey, if you don't want to buy them separately, you don't have a sprayer, go for it. It'll get the job done. And then Trini, she says, is topsoil necessary for renovation? For full renovation, you may want it if you have a new construct build when your CECs are dramatically low. We can hop into that in the next installment that we do. But right now, we want to give you your weekend back with your family. We did not mean for it to take this long. I'm going to give you the heads up that the next installment will not be on my channel. It will most likely be on PJ's channel or Polo's channel. So go ahead and make sure you subscribe to their channels. Go ahead and hit them up. I've dropped the link a few times in the chat. It is also in the description of this live cast. We truly appreciate your support. Let's show them the logos real quick. I'll show you the logos real quick and then we'll get you out of here. What we've done with your donations thus far is this right here. Let's hope that it shows up properly. Don't judge me on my desktop. I work with a wide screen, so I can do that. Let's see if we can get them pull up just so y'all can see with the direction we're kind of going in. Hopefully they're nice and big, but they might not be. Yeah, they're not. Let me see if I can zoom in without using. So it's getting a little pixelated, but it'll give you an idea of what we're doing. And we were going to have you vote on them, but we've been here for a while. But one thing that you can do while I'm showing you this real quick is, what would you like the next installment to be on? So this is one of the designs, and while y'all drop that in, this is one of the designs. This is another one. another one, and another one, and they're not showing up properly. So we're not going to waste too much time there, but you can kind of see the direction that we're going in. The money that you donate to these lives, they are going into the brand establishment of the team. And guys, if you see anything happening in the chats, or if you want to say some last words before we take this thing out, take the time to.
Now, one thing that I would like to say, I would like, if you could drop it in the chat, what you would like to see us do a topic on for our next installment. I think Turf hit on that, but I just wanted to clarify. Drop that in the chat so we can see it, and we can take that information down and clarify it, and we can decide on what to do.
Yeah, we're definitely thinking of picking up where we left off. We will most likely have a guest on the next show, some sort of professional that's in the industry that will be able to add a little bit more value. But we're looking at picking up from, maybe you have all your materials and your seeds. So now it's time to help you for where you're at and prepare for the late fall, winter, and what you should be expecting coming out of spring or something like that. But this show stream was excellent. I enjoyed this very much. Man, we appreciate you, William. Thank you for being here. Lynette Lewis, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I appreciate you. Yes, you did, because we working. That's right, we working.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Working.
We definitely appreciate that.
I can listen for another 4 hours. LOL, you guys are great. I appreciate it. I don't think I can go another 4 hours.
I don't think any of us could do another 4 hours.
But yeah, we hung in there, and just for future reference, we're looking at our shows being a 60 to 90-minute segment moving forward, but we knew this one was going to take a little longer, in addition with the possible giveaway, which we ended up doing. So thank you for hanging in there with us. I was just going to ask for a guest panel. Yep, we're going to pull that up. Equipment deep dive showing different options and approaches would be great. Can you expand a little bit on that? Equipment deep dive. Are you talking about like spreaders, like the Spiker spreader versus the Scott spreader, and maybe sprayers, different sprayers? You can use a Jackdo or a Ryobi or a Flow Zone. Is that the type of stuff you're talking about? Because I think we could bake that into the next one, of course.
Turf, you don't want that spreader smoke.
I don't. I ain't got no need for no daggone Spiker.
Hey, Cam, we would have went down his test plot 2 times, and he would
be done.
Hey, we had that spreader already back on the truck. Hey man, we sitting back drinking some Gatorade.
Yeah, see
and Turf still out there pushing.
That's right. And I'm taking my time because I ain't got nowhere else to be. Thanks, guys. Great show. Thank you. I appreciate you, Butterscotch Taco. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. CR, maybe Ron Henry. I mean, Ron Henry, I don't think Ron Henry even knows we exist. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. But it would be nice to have Ron Henry on here. Go tell him. Let Ron Henry know he should be a guest on the We Workin Livecast, and we'll see if we can make that happen.
Yeah, y'all go do that.
Yeah, go rally him up. Tell him to come over here and holler at us. We'd love to have him for sure. William Augustus, yep, spreads, sprayers, even mowers. Yeah, that'd be a nice touch, especially how we kind of dived around at this today. Y'all know PJ, she runs a battery operated. I just inherited a battery operated, it's a Heart brand along with the Toro. And then, we got our Polo. He crushed it in his video. You see his equipment line up when he was choose your
weapon.
Your weapon. Y'all saw him in the Battle of the Stripes videos with his Mortal Kombat theme going on. Yeah. So yeah, we definitely should probably pull up a warm season lawn on the next panel as well. So we'll look into it. We'll talk behind the scenes. It looks like you guys have given us your input. We appreciate everyone that tuned in tonight.
Definitely.
72 likes.
Sure.
And look, I appreciate the 3 dislikes even more. Thank you for pulling up and feeling it in your heart to give us 3 thumbs down for whatever reason. I still appreciate you.
The algorithm appreciates you.
Yeah,
and we applaud it.
I'm not sure what we said or did to make you give us a thumbs down, but we still appreciate you. Trini said equipment, disease control, fertilization calculations, lawn plans. Look, I got you covered on the fertilization calculations. All you need to do is go to the Google or Apple App Store, search turf therapy. There's my app. It's right there. It's 99 cents. It's not free because I spent my own money on that. So I appreciate you, 99 cents. It's only 99 cents, but it'll got you covered on granular and liquid fertilizer applications. And as soon as I finish recouping my investment in that app, I have a major update that I've wanted to do for some time now, but I have to be economically sensible about it. And I kind of had to put a pause on that for a little while, but if the app is not done, it is still alive and it's still in the app store and people are using it, and it's saving a lot of people time and heartache.
And I will say to Trini, who's a big supporter of my channel, I know, and is always on my channel, I support that app. I use it for every one of my applications. Yeah. So yeah, go check Turf Therapy app out. I do support that app. I have it and I use it for everyone.
Yep.
Hey, Trini, I got you covered on disease control.
Yeah, you know, Polo got you covered on the disease control, lawn plans. PJ and Cam is all about. Me and Polo do lawn plans, but we're a lot more fluid and loose with ours. PJ and Cam, they have a program and they kind of like,
yeah, that's Cam. I have a program, but it goes all over the place. So.
Especially,
I can tell you
for days.
I can tell you exactly how many pounds of N, P, and K and micronutrients have been on my lawn at this point in the season.
Yeah. Yeah, Cam is nasty with it. What else we got? And then disease and the equipment. Yeah, we'll tackle that as a team. So without further ado, team, let's go ahead and take them up out of here. One thing's for sure.
Two things for certain.
Working.
Just know we working. We got work on that. Okay, all right.
Hey, we what 3 hours in?
Right. Yeah. Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate you. Much love. We'll see you next time. Peace. We working. All right. Boom. That's stream.